to believe that there's been 135 of these things. Without further ado, I'll be one of your co-hosts for the evening. I'm Rodney Conyers Jr. I don't do really anything important here at Shacknews besides just run my mouth. No, I'm kidding.
That's bullshit.
I play a heavy role here at Shacknews, but not as heavy as these two gentlemen here with me. Of course, I have Denny Von Doom, the man, the myth, the legend behind our social media. He'll be technically directing. I don't know. Maybe I'm not as good with the words I thought I was. And last but certainly not least, I have Skankcore64 joining us. Welcome back, my friend. We missed you.
Yo, thank you so much, Rodney. It is good to be back. Couldn't make it last time, I believe. It was a holiday, and then you guys taped on a Tuesday, and I just was not available. But I am here. I am looking forward to discussing a full week of esports news, and yeah, there's a lot to get into as always. So, Rodney, what are we talking about first?
Man, there is a lot to get into. There's a lot of good news. There's a lot of kind of in between news. There's a lot of sad news. I mean, we've just kind of gotten everything within the esports hemisphere. But to kick things off, I know we try to end the show on a nice note. We're actually going to kick this one off on an even nicer note here. I'm double phoning this thing up right now, so just bear with me here. But EA Sports are letting us know that they support trans rights, which should come as no surprise. Literally, if you don't support trans rights in this day and age, one of us are going to come out of this TV show and come find you and come kick you right in the balls. But in an exact quote, it says, as a company, we are united that trans rights are human rights. Women's rights are human rights. Our support is unwavering for our people, our players, and our LGBTQ plus communities. I love that. As if it should go. I mean, it should honestly go without saying these days, but there's so many companies out there putting out blanket statements. You know what I'm saying? Just they got the whole PR rollout ready for June. You know, that way, their company robots probably just dish it out. But this one felt like it came from the heart. EA, of course, pretty good track record in the video game community. Fellas, what are your thoughts on that? Well, pretty okay. Okay,
pretty good track record. Okay, so EA is definitely one of those not good companies. One of the bad companies. You might have missed the last 20 years, Rod.
Maybe I've missed something. I thought
EA's right up there with Activision. Right up there with Riot, right up there with Ubisoft. They're one of the big boys, and it's tough when you get that big because you have a lot of studios, and when you have so many studios under your umbrella, sometimes mismanagement happens. A lot of times mismanagement happens. And EA hasn't always been the best place to work, but I would say it's probably been do they have studios in Florida? I don't know, Squires. They maybe haven't been as notable or as under fire as Riot and Activision Blizzard King have been, in recent times. But they've definitely had their ups and downs. They've definitely had their questionable choices.
I remember they had a bit of
scummy. I think it's just kind of EA's just been known for scummy microtransaction practices and just kind of ruining their games with just a lot of
you had me afraid for a second. I thought that you were implying that it was like Activision or Blizzard or something. Exactly. But yes, you're right. They do.
But no, I think EA, to their credit, they have always been a voice for inclusiveness and a voice for smaller devs, a voice for indie development, a voice for like they're saying, a voice for rights. I think this statement that they've made for Pride Month is great. Trans rights are human rights. Women's rights are human rights. All of everything they're saying is, of course, it's kind of like you're right. It's kind of this corporate boilerplate, like statements that they all do this time of year. But I think you're right. This one does feel a little bit more genuine, and I love to see it for sure.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, their management has kind of shifted around these last so many years. Now, obviously, looking at another company like, for instance, Activision or like a Blizzard or something of that sort, no matter like how many times that, they switch things around, you just can't get rid of the stain that is what has happened. But I think, EA, of course, I'm not necessarily going to say on the up, word swing, but they're trying their best to get out of it. And I actually really like this little message here, too. This one felt like very much a human wrote it, and they just didn't put it into like a computer and then, whatever came out. But I don't know, Denny, did you get a chance to see it? What did you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got to see it. I think it's good to see. Obviously, this time of year, there's a lot of corporate statements that are going out. I'm kind of a fan of the support that the Blizzard kind of shows all year round. Not Blizzard, Bungie, when it comes
Mm.
to pushing out pride and inclusiveness. They drop their whole emblem and stuff like that in game for Destiny players. So I'd like to see kind of like more of that included as well, like moving forward for some of these companies that may have several games on their lineup that could have that kind of layout happen. Yeah, I mean it's definitely cool to see. I hope that also implies to the workforce and how they push that inclusiveness into making sure that there's inclusive pay for the workers there at EA and
Mm.
things like that behind the scenes, not just on the player base end, but as an actual company. Making sure that everyone's being paid appropriately for the work that they're doing is something that's been an ongoing issue in gaming as a whole. I hope that spreads through
Hmm.
on the esports side too. When we get down to commentating for stuff like they're gonna have the Madden League starting up again.
Yeah.
EA is
Yeah.
pushing the big stuff out again for those kind of huge projects. So I'm hoping to see that kind of inclusiveness in front of the camera as well moving forward, for
Yeah,
sure.
that's actually a really good point too, because a lot of times, you'll see like the front facing stuff like, hey, look at these, one or two employees that we're going to use in this article, and they're going to basically talk of how much of a great time they've been having working, and then sometimes they might even jump down the hole a little further and like get a couple players who play the games professionally, and they'll talk about how great of a time they're playing. More times than not, though, EA is not really even handling these players. These players are sponsored by teams who handle them and whatever. So of course they're having a great time. They're getting paid to play and do what they love. But yeah, when you like really look down the hole further, you'll see like the people who work behind the scenes. And a lot of times, they're just not being treated right. But I do hope that this post came out in good faith. Of course, these posts have to happen this time of year. I'm sure that they have boardroom meetings about it. But I think, it's not enough to just post. You have to actually act on what you're talking about. And I think EA, despite some of the weird microtransactions, I know, like, I think the biggest like microtransaction annoyance is like in their sports games is also is it Star Wars too that they are kind of like that they don't really give you
They
like the full experience, or what is it that EA has?
well, EA has the Star Wars. They have the license to make Star Wars games.
Yeah, we got
But
games
is
down the
yeah, I
pipeline
don't
coming.
know. Yeah, I don't know about them cutting off any like Star Wars access to anyone. But as far as like EA, like I said, they've definitely been an inclusive place to work. They've had their crunch problems. Like all big publishers have had. They've had those kinds of issues. So workers having to deal with crunch problems, having to deal with uh, you know too long working out or working weeks and things of that nature. Yeah, and like different microtransactions. But I think if this isn't just a tweet that they made. There's an entire open letter. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you go to their website ea.com/news/pride dash 2022, you can see an entire open letter that they wrote that includes the message that they shared on Twitter, but with more detail, more in depth, kind of like proof that they are backing up these statements, that they are, engaging in programs internally that support their LGBTQ community. And I think one paragraph in particular
Mm-hmm.
really caught me, where Mala says, and I'm guessing that's EA's, front-facing community, director, someone, whoever wrote this open letter for
Mm-hmm.
EA, says, I want to acknowledge the pain and fear that our LGBTQ plus, specifically our transgender community, is experiencing in light of emerging legislation in the U.S. and the ongoing attacks on their human rights. We will continue to strive for a safe and supportive workplace, and as a leadership team, we want to be clear about what we stand for. And that goes on to say, the trans rights are human rights, women rights are human rights, the Twitter statement that we talked about. But yeah, I think just them acknowledging the current legislation that is, attacking transgender communities and LGBTQ communities, and these things, I think just them acknowledging that is a huge step. A lot of companies, they'll put out their statements, but they don't really say anything. They don't really show the light on the uncomfortable truths behind some of these topics, and I think that's I think it's really good for them for doing that.
No, 100%, man. I think even like looking at like the reply section, which is something that you should never do on twitter.com for any account over 10,000 followers and verified. Their replies are probably a shit show. And theirs was, a combination of what we see from all, big entities, like whether it's like LeBron James and it's just like, shut up and play basketball. We see something very similar here where it's just like, shut up and make video games. Well, honestly, in this day and age, and we've covered a lot of stories from other companies about them creating characters that represent more people besides just the average, straight, male, whether they are black or white, whatever, they're including different types of people. And a lot of their responses, and people coming to bat for them certainly stood behind that same statement. Like, hey, they're just trying to make sure everybody has a great time playing games. Remember, that's what we're here to do. Everybody needs to have a comfortable role in picking up the controller or the mouse pad and keyboard, whatever it is you're doing. And all it really takes is one. I know it's tough sometimes because, again, their replies turn into a shit show. So I'm sure like every company probably sits and waits for the other one to post first. But I'm glad that EA has certainly took a firm stance in what it is that they believe in. I don't know Mala myself. I tried to actually look them up on social media or even find like a LinkedIn. I couldn't really find anything on this person, but whoever you are, big kudos to you. I'm glad a real person wrote this, and I'm glad that we were able to get a message from the heart. So big shout out to Mala, and of course, big shout out to EA for doing the right thing. Now, 100%, man. Now, another really great thing that happened this past weekend was Geek Fest 2022. We had ourselves some Smash Ultimate action, and this so I got a fly in here that's harassing me, man. Like, it's like he just, I don't know, maybe it's the same like Mike Pence fly. Like, he found me and now he's just fucking harassing me. But anyway, though, Geek Fest 2022 happened in Cancun. I can't think of a better place this time of year to host a tournament. And sure enough, MKLeo and Spargo found themselves in grand finals once more, creating the perfect storyline. However, though, this was really good, I think, for both of them, of course, just being back on familiar terrain. And then, of course, just using their presence to highlight maybe smaller regions in the world on the Smash World Tour. So did we get a chance to watch any of this by chance, friends?
I unfortunately did not get a chance to watch any of Geek Fest this year, but I mean, it's a great story. Just hearing that it was a Leo Spargo final, like you can kind of, get the story, like you get a lot of the story right there.
Yeah.
But also that it was another tournament that took place in Mexico. Like this is like the third in a row, something like that. These big tournaments taking place in Mexico with featuring huge players. Like I'm telling you, this region is popping off and it's just not stopping. Like they're never stopping. Like they just can't do it.
Yeah, they can't, man. For me, I know we've all talked about it specifically, but I think when it comes to Smash, Mexico is probably the most exciting region in all of Smash right now. Of course, being home base for some of the strongest players in just Smash history, not even just Ultimate. And when I see something like this, it really makes me happy because now I'm thinking, well, damn, like now Mexico really gets a chance to show not only just the players, but how vibrant the scene is. Between, I believe Rita was the invitational style bracket that we covered a little bit ago. On top of, now we got Geek Fest, Smash Factor is just right around the corner in July, and that's shaping up to be the biggest anything Mexico has ever seen fighting game-wise. So I think this is a good step in the right direction, and hopefully this entices more American players, to come travel down to Mexico, or if not, maybe just to buy a passport to go to other regions of the world, because we, especially in Smash, again, we don't have like that company support yet. It's coming. We've talked about it here. It's coming. In other fighting games, there's a world tour circuit. You have to go to Asia. You have to go to, America, Canada. You have to go to Sweden, Europe. You got to go to all these other places. But in America, it's just kind of like for Smash, you just got to come here and compete. And, it's just nice to see events pop up in other parts of the world that will make you want to get your passport.
Yeah, I think we've kind of had like, I don't want to say a monopoly, but we've had the majority of Smash majors, taking place on continental U.S. soil. They just like each region has had their majors, and multiple at that. So it is nice to see, these majors popping up in other parts of the world, especially Mexico, because like you said, yeah, It's very close by. It's right across the border. It's very easy to travel to. It's really nice. I mean, who wouldn't want to go down to Cancun and play some Smash in the sun and the fun? You know what I mean? Like, get the beach as well. Yeah, I couldn't think of a better time. And you just went to Cuba to cast the Smash tournament. So yeah, it's looking really good. But yeah, let's talk about the actual players and the actual standings. These matches that took place. So Spargo not able to close it out over Leo. Was there a bracket reset or anything like that?
I don't believe so, no. And I think Leo won this thing going all Corrin plus using Slingshot too. So he was, of course, implemented that new Gimmer technology that had the world in the chokehold for about 72 hours. And then we got to see a lot of that tech implemented at the Cuba event, Ultimate Tropical Arena. I know it was himself and Chag. And then shortly after at MomoCon/Combo Breaker, I know that there were multiple players utilizing that tech. And now here we are. Of course, the tech is working. Best player in the world is using it. I can't think of a better player to showcase this new cool thing you found in the game than Leo. And of course, Spargo as well. But using all Corrin, this was something that I think we kind of seen coming. I feel like, and this is no disrespect to the other players out there, they're all, the players that are ranked in like that top 5 to 10 are certainly where they need to be in that top 5 to 10. I know it fluctuates every so many events, but I just feel like Leo is such the gap between 1 and 2 is still pretty big. And I think for him to, win these tournaments going, he almost won Ultimate Tropical Arena going Rob, a very fresh Rob at that. And now here he is winning tournaments over, the tried and true second best player in the world, Spargo. I think that just says a lot about, just who he is and where he's at skill wise in comparison to the rest of the PGR. So, of course, always nice to see them both play. And the way I kind of look at Spargo and Leo is like, Spargo kind of has like this Gohan in him where like, he might be the second strongest, but there's going to be a day where like he's feeling it, you know what I'm saying? He's just like emotionally in it and he's the best player in the room. Nobody can stop him because we have seen events where he has smacked Leo up a few times.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really cool, in region rivalry to see this Spargo Leo rivalry that's been developing. Do you remember what place HBox got? I'm just curious.
I think HBox, sorry, this fly he's back. He wants a cameo on the show today. You're not getting a cameo, buddy, but I believe he got 13th, which I think
so not even top 8.
No, not even top 8. And I think, 13th is okay for somebody of his stature and where he's sitting at skill-wise and Ultimate. Again, Mexico's a strong region. You got Big Boss, Chag, Leo, Spargo out there. And then, of course, Mexico themselves is very strong. And so, I think 13th for having to commentate and play and do a lot of other things, I think that's a respectable place.
It is respectable.
Yeah, it's respectable. We know that we've seen HBox on fire and in Ultimate of all games. And, we know that he's very capable of like really grinding it out and getting into that top 8. But I feel like sometimes when you're in Mexico, you're just in a really cool spot in the world. I'm like, you know what, guys? I'm about to go 0-2. I need to hit the beach. All right. I need to go have some fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he's commentating as well, I could see that. Speaking as well, or of tournaments that have commentators and players, doing both double duty. There was another tournament this weekend, Infinity Con 2022.
Yes.
Featuring notable players like Goblin, Uncivil Ninja, Anathema, Mewtwo King played in doubles and was also on the mic. So Mewtwo King is definitely commentating a bit more and more recently. What do you think about this? I think he's really great on the mic.
I think so in the world of commentary, I think Mewtwo King is very good at what it is that he does. Sorry, he's back. Philip the Fly is trying to. Anyway, I think Mewtwo King is good. Certainly what he did. He's an information machine. And the great thing about Mewtwo King as well with his commentary is that he always asks for advice afterwards. And for somebody of his stature, competitively, for him to ask somebody for advice, I think is saying a lot. And it shows that he wants to be better. I know that him and HBox had a really great block at MomoCon. And I think there's a lot of things that are working in Mewtwo King's favor. First and foremost, he's Mewtwo King. So who doesn't want to see him do other things besides play Smash? That's the whole big player personality thing. I think that there's a lot of hard carry as well because he is a legend in the platform fighting community. This is just exceeded Smash. So like to see him on the mic, he's always going to get a pass. He obviously knows what the hell he's talking about. And again, it's just nice to see him doing something where he doesn't have to use his hands like I have to, and it's showing him in a different light. He's in a good spirit, right? Do you see him? Look at him.
I honestly cannot.
All right, man, I'm gonna get him. But anyway, he's in good spirits, and it's nice to see him not have to use his hands, because I don't know if people know, but like his hands sometimes really hurt him when it comes to playing Melee, and so he's just I think he's found a new calling, a new passion right now, and to partner him up with somebody like HBox and Momocon is really good. But then I also think to also have him do stuff like what he just did this previous weekend at InfinityCon. It's a tournament that's pretty big. It's a good way for him to kind of show a little bit more range on the mic. You know, I think sometimes smaller streams, you get a chance to maybe show out that new commentary tech you've been working on. And for somebody with the mind of Mewtwo King, I'm sure there's a lot in that noggin of his.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's really cool to see his in-depth, like like analysis of the game as it's happening while he commentates. And yeah, it's just very hard to do that unless you just put in like the lab hours that he has. But of course, he didn't win doubles. His team did not. I think they made the top 8, but did not take grand finals. Didn't even make it to grand finals. So, as you're saying, like HBox, you know, commentating, playing at the same time, it kind of splits your focus a little bit. So a little bit harder to maybe take it all the way through to grand finals. So yes, Mewtwo King didn't get there, but Goblin and Javi on Earth got there versus Myron and Uncivil Ninja. And Myron and Uncivil Ninja took that. So Goblin was not able to get the doubles finals, but I think he got the singles grand finals against Anathema.
Yeah, I believe so as well. And it's just it's good, with the Smash World Tour to have tournaments. They might not be the biggest tournament on the block, but I think with VG's presence, I think for everything that the Smash World Tour stands for, it's nice to see, like, again, 2-3 years ago, a tournament like InfinityCon wouldn't have gotten a lot of press because, the right people just aren't streaming it. And, it's just not a part of something bigger than itself. But I think, of course, events get better. And then with that, the Smash World Tour and VG help elevate what's already great into something even better. And so it's nice also to see Goblin kind of get his flowers and and really be highlighted in a positive way. I think we sometimes forget how good Goblin actually is. But he's sponsored for a reason. He plays alongside I almost said Meister, but Meister's sponsor with Moist was like a one-off thing. But he plays alongside Cola and Light for a reason. And so because of that, I think, he was just long overdue for a dub. I don't want anybody that is out there watching these tournaments to think that Goblin is not good on the sticks, because he's very, very nice. He's just had maybe a slight bit of a rough patch, but I think InfinityCon might have lit a fire under him to be a better, opponent for the future.
Oh yeah, I mean, taking first place in singles, taking second place in doubles, that's a good weekend no matter what, right? Like, that's that's a fantastic weekend. I don't care who you are. I mean, that's number 1 and number 2 in the 2 top tournaments of the weekend. Yeah, you got to be happy with that. Taking it with Roy, solidly with Roy, pretty much. With the tag Kirby to best, so little Kirby love out there.
There you go.
But yeah, so Roy versus Rob. I mean, it's not the easiest matchup for Rob, but Rob has a lot of utility. But we're seeing more Robs in these grand finals now. So this is just another instance of the robot coming through.
Yeah, I think what it is that Rob. So Rob, of course, is a big target, and his inability to land will sometimes come back and bite him in the robotic butt. No hitbox on his recovery, so he's just kind of floating around to get back to stage. But I think for a character to have that weakness, it really forces something different out of your opponent. Like, okay, he's good when he's on his feet, he's off of his feet, now I got to come get him. But a good Rob is not going to make his landing options obvious. I'm saying? He's going to be very ambiguous with where he goes, how he gets back onto solid ground. And so from there, sometimes it becomes a guessing game. But I think for somebody like Goblin, his ability to get the most out of his conversions and get the most out of his combos really speaks volumes to his gameplay. When it comes to a character like Roy, it's not enough to just get one hit you have to turn one hit into many other hits because there's a chance one hit might be sour, one hit might be sweet, and you have to know how to adjust your combos on the fly based off of, percent, DI, everything. So anyway, Goblin, of course, doing just that. But you're right, though. We are seeing way more Rob, and I think it might be Rise of the Machines here pretty soon. It might be Terminator
Rise
3
of the Machines. I love it.
With hopefully a much better beginning, middle, and end, because holy shit, Rise of the Machines was a bad film. But yeah, you get where I'm going.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so that's Infinity Con. Took place in Florida. Really fun to see. But yeah, congrats to Moist Goblin with, just phenomenal placing this weekend. First in singles, second in doubles. You can't ask for much better than that. And to be honest, I thought Moist Esports was a little bit of a joke at first, but I mean, they're signing, some of the best Smash players in the country. And I think you're right. I mean, this is definitely an esports team to look out for.
Definitely esports teams to look out for, indeed. And bringing in a lot of players. Another game that's bringing in a lot of players as well. All right, Brian, you ready?
What's that?
Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Okay.
Is it really bringing in players?
It is. I'm in the Discord. Damn it. All right. They're bringing in a couple players a day.
Okay.
All right. All jokes aside, though, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, of course, back in the headlines for great everything has been pretty good for the most part. But, even back when I interviewed Thaddeus Cruz, big shout out, of course, to Greg. Go watch that interview. Even back when I interviewed him, he said one thing that he cannot get over is the fact that there's no voice acting. And I think in a platform fighter, these types of games celebrate in their DNA togetherness, the intellectual properties coming together to meet and to beat the absolute hell out of each other. But to do that in silence feels a little weird. So I think, this new patch that's getting ready to come out is amazing. A lot of the original voice actors for these characters are back. Of course, they had to swap some in and out. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we just don't got the budget for some of these big name voice actors, but they're able to grab, I believe, sound clips from some of the shows. I don't think they actually have people come in and re-record anything. But friends, what are your thoughts on this? Brian, I know you have had quite a bit to say about Nick in the past, so let's hear it.
I think I'm going to let Denny go first because, it's not going to be short. Let's just say that.
All right, Mr. Von Doom, have at it, good sir.
I mean, it's good that they're finally putting in voice acting in the game. I mean, that's clearly something that people really want if there's people still playing this game. I mean, it also just, recently set up to hit Xbox or PlayStation for free this month. So, I mean, there is an opportunity now for there to be, somewhat of a player base that might be able to hop back into it. So this is probably the best timing you're going to get for having both a free update and having it available for free for PlayStation users. I mean, if there's any chance or opportunity for it to kind of get a scene again, now would be that time. And if it were to get enough of that going, who knows? I mean, we do have stuff like Evo coming up. Maybe a decent side tournament showing there would be, would do well for them with some solid presentation and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Multiversus is kind of stealing a lot of that, whatever thunder they had originally with this game. But I'm not going to rule anything completely out until, you see everything in action and see whether people are actually interested enough to continue putting any kind of time or effort into playing this one. I can't imagine how much the actual game itself is going for right now. It's probably less than $20 for this game on any console.
I think it was like $14.99 when I checked last, but I don't quote me on that. But it's certainly like on the cheaper end of things, which is good. I think we live in a day and age where like really the only platform fighter that can bring in that type of money consistently is Smash, of course. But to have healthier alternatives for a much cheaper price is certainly good too. I think that's how you get people in the door. But I think Combo Breaker had quite a few people there too. So to your point about Evo possibly getting a side tournament, Evo has notoriously done some of the best side brackets in the world. Same with CEO and inside of Jabaland. They've done Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I remember there was one year where Evo had a poll, like a competition thing to see which one was going to get in, Pokken Tournament or Marvel. And it was like some of the best fighting game campaigning I've ever seen ever. And so, we'll see how Nick does. But I'm curious. I'm very curious. But I'm even more curious to hear what our friend Mr. 64, a.k.a. Skankcore Brian LaFleur, has to say about this.
All right. So Congratulations to Game Mill Entertainment and Ludosity for getting Nickelodeon All-Stars Beta or All-Stars Brawl out of beta. You know, congrats on getting out of early access. You made it. You have finally polished the game to the point where it should have been 8 months ago. I don't know. So you got voice acting, you got items. Items are in the game. I mean, whew. Now, all right. So this is my point here. My point is games like this live and breathe off of a large casual audience. The platform fighter pros, the people who are playing this game because they want to be the best of the best, because they want to play in tournaments, that's maybe 5 to 10% of the full player base of a game like this. These games have ginormous player bases that do not care about labbing or frame data or any of that. Hitboxes, hurtboxes, whatever. They don't care about any of that. What they do care about is playing a fun game with their friends and family that has all of the things that it's supposed to have in the beginning, like voice acting, like items, like a character roster with enough depth and breadth to appeal to multiple people, to appeal to all of your friends and family playing the game. And then when you have that giant, huge casual audience who is playing your game and loving your game because it's polished and fun, then you get a subset of those people who really love it. You'll find some of these people graduate from casual to more core fans of the game, and they start really playing it. The people who are the best of their friends, and that's kind of how it was for me back when Smash 64 came out. I was always the best of my friends when Smash 64 came out, but I had no ambitions or aspirations to be a tournament level player or anything, because that just didn't exist. There were no tournaments or anything for it. And then when Smash Melee came out, it was so good and so polished and so perfect that I really wanted to start playing the game, and I really got into it. And that's when I got into the tech and learning how to shuffle and wave dash and do all the things that you needed to do to play in tournaments, to go and play against other people who were really into the game and really wanted to play it. But that's because that game was just so perfect when it launched. It had everything. Games like Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, when it launches with barely anything, when it launches with only enough to appeal to the very hardcore players, to the people who want to play in tournaments, the people who want to lab, yeah, you can launch a game with only 6 to 8 characters. As long as the game engine is intact, the collision detection is intact, and there's enough characters to play. The hardcore players, the people who are really into it, they're gonna find that enjoyment in it. They're going to be able to pick it apart and play the game, at least at its core basic level, just because it's a playable experience. But that's because they love those types of games. They love they love fighting games. And that's a very small subset of people. That's not enough people to keep a full-blown community going. It's not enough people to make a hit game. And it's especially not enough people to make a hit when you have competition coming out that's free to play, not $40. Being on PlayStation Plus is a big deal. Like that's a get for them for sure. That did big things for Rocket League. Rocket League would not have been where it is today if it had not debuted. Well, not debuted, but if it did not have that early promotion on PlayStation Plus. But there's no crossplay for Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. If Nick All-Stars Brawl had crossplay, then yes, this influx of players on the PlayStation side would be a really big get for the community at large. But because it's not crossplay, it's not the biggest get. I mean, there are a lot of PlayStation 4 consoles out of there, tons of PlayStation 4 consoles out there, hundreds of millions. So, a lot of people will have the opportunity to play this. But for the people who have been playing, the people who bought this game at release and have moved on, I don't think this is going to bring them back just because they've moved. Like, there's just so much out there. There's so much to play, and your casual player base, the bulk of your player base, the large 90% of that player base, they play other types of games. They don't just play platform fighters. Your hardcore competitive mindset players who only want to play in tournaments, players who only play platform fighters. That's such a small percentage that, yes, they might come back to Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl after leaving it because of this patch. Mm-hmm. But I don't see the community. I don't see the bulk of their sales coming back to play the game.
No, I don't think so either. And I think, that ship that, like that buzz that you initially want, at launch is certainly sailed. That ship is gone. But I think, it might be a little bit too late for them to, and this is with the implication that they are trying to follow a similar, model to like Smash or even like Multiverses, where they're like doing tournaments and pop bonuses and things as such. But it's never too late for them to really start, okay, we got the voice acting now. The voice acting is what brings in the casual players. And the game, even though there wasn't voice acting, I will say that, for what it asks from you competitively, it's a much different experience than Smash. It feels a little bit more like Project M and Melee than Ultimate does. But even that, I feel like, hey, we got the voice acting in. The game technically feels finished in the eyes of the consumer. Is it okay to start doing tournaments? Because this was one thing that I think really hurt Nick more than anything else, was the fact that
they've been charging $40 for this game this whole time.
And that's what I'm getting at. I'm like, well, what's getting me is the money management, and maybe not on the back end of things of paying employees. I know we talk about that a lot, but like pop bonuses for tournaments, even like, and this, I don't want them to think I'm criticizing them, but they have strong commentators, some of the strongest commentators in platform fighting business. And, to hear about them going to tournaments and like, yeah, they need commentators. They need you to do this and that, but they're not putting any money in on like, your flight or your hotel or, even pop bonuses for tournament. Like, I would love to see a $5,000 something for Nick. That would bring a lot of people out. It might not bring new people out together like what Multiverses did or what Ultimate did at launch, but it will at least the community that you have at large, it will show the rest of the fighting game world that there is something to be done here. But right now we're kind of following a similar mode to like what Melee and some of the Smash games before like Esports really hit did, where we're just surviving. We're surviving off of the love of the game. We can't really make a living off of this. We're just playing this because we like it. And I guess that's okay. Some people just want to play games just to play games. But I think just from what I've seen in the Discord, if they just put a little bit of company support into this game, now that they have the voice acting, they might get a slightly better outcome. But the game still being $40 plus late voice acting, plus a lot of other things, I feel like really kind of hurt it, man. I gotta agree with you.
I mean,
this game is another. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Denny.
Did this game even get like any kind of tourney or exhibition on Nickelodeon or on actual channels?
WB put $100,000 on Evo for Multiverses. WB is like, here you go, $100K, and you're telling me Viacom, one of the biggest media conglomerates in the world, can't put $100K up for this game?
Yeah, we just can't have that, And again, it's even with like Brawl and Smash 4. I'm so glad you brought up Melee as well. Like, for a long time, there was the narrative that we can't do standalone Brawl and Smash 4 majors. They have to always be alongside Melee in order for them to get any real pull. And up until I guess here recently, Nick has kind of done the same thing. Their first physical in-person outing was Super Smash Con Fall Fest.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple
alongside other Smash games.
I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, put it in a crossover environment.
If they have to Me Too for a while, then they have to do that, right? Like,
right, but sooner or later they have to have their own thing. And I'm like, dude, and I told, Thaddeus this and a lot of other people. And I know Thaddeus is with Ludasi and not Game Mill, but I was like, I would love to come to a Nickelodeon themed event. Are you fucking kidding me? The millennial in me is like, fuck yes. Bring the slime, bring all that shit. I'm with it. But no, they're just not doing it. I'm like, well, what is the target audience for this?
We would have got something different, I think, if Multiverses had hit first. I think they may have let this sit in the oven a bit longer, knowing that there's some kind of competition that's clearly already getting things on the up and up from the start.
Maybe they might have gotten wind of Multiverses and launched early just to get ahead of it, because I don't see why. I don't feel like this is not the type of game you can launch in an unfinished, unpolished state. Because like I was saying before, when you launch a fighting game in an unfinished state, the only people who are going to want to play it are the most hardcore of hardcore fighting game fans.
Yes.
You're not, and everyone else has moved on. They've all moved on. It's been 8 months. 8 months.
Yeah.
For you to get out this core feature.
Well, and it's weird too because the game. And we're making a lot of really good points here. And the more we keep going in on this, the more I'm like, well, damn, like I never thought of it that way. But another really big thing to take into consideration is that, like you said, Brian, the game competitively is what the hardcore gamers want. That's fine. Like the game competitively is like Slap City. It's just how do I turn one hit into many hits as possible? I can air dash, wave dash, I can L cancel, I can do all these cool things. Phenomenal experience. But what I can't ignore is that, well, you do understand that there is a very big video game template set in the industry. Not even esports, just the industry. When you start bringing characters together for crossover experiences, you're at a fork in the road as a developer. You're only going to go one of two ways. You're either going to fucking Kingdom Hearts this shit, or you're going to Super Smash Brothers this shit. There's only one or two ways you can do it at this level. And when you start using recognizable IPs like Nickelodeon characters and they're interacting, you're like, oh, this is cool. These characters are fighting, but they're not talking. What makes SpongeBob is the talking and the whatever. And so even if you were like a competitive person, even that right there for somebody like myself who's in competitive platform fighting business, that's enough to deter me. And I've talked about that on average with Max. He's not here right now. He went out of town. But when the game first came out alongside Sora from Kingdom Hearts for Ultimate, I was like, hey, two really big crossover things are happening right now. I know Nick might be the more competitive, viable, of the two, just in terms of buttons being pressed and what we want in comparison to Melee, greatest esport ever. But it's like, dude, it's just literally not there. Like, I got to hear Patrick talk. I got to hear him talk or I'm not going to do this.
Speaking specifically to this patch, now that they've added voices, is it confirmed that is it like some of the lines were recorded for the game or was most of it taken from existing sound clips? Because Multiverses has like interactive lines. Like when you're playing as Bugs Bunny and you have Wonder Woman on your team, he will say things about Wonder Woman, right? He'll like say things about like, oh, this Amazonian, blah, 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 never loses and this and that. Like he will like they recorded lines specifically for the specific matchups and team makeups that you can get in that game, which is crazy, right? Like that's insane. Just wild. Yeah. I'm wondering if you think they did something like this? I kind of doubt it.
I think I doubt it as well. The platform fighters all pay attention to each other, even Smash too. Like remember back in Brawl, they had a full story mode, the subspace, and none of the characters talked. And that was something that they really wanted to make sure that they implemented for World of Light. Some of the characters can speak now. But I think, and now this, I don't know. This is just, tinfoil hat industry, reading the terrain, being Detective Rod from the Y Word of electronic sports. I do think that maybe Multiverses and Nick and a lot of these other platform fighters did know of each other that this was happening because, I would imagine the assumption for a game like Multiverses when it comes out is, oh, Cartoon Network characters, all these iconic characters, there's going to be talking. But the fact that WB and Player First Games made it a selling point. Remember, they spent the whole day, a Twitter thread of just Rodney Connors is voicing Philip the Fly that keeps attacking people. And Brian is voicing whoever. And Denny Von Doom is the voice of, Victor Von Doom. Like, they made it a whole thing. I'm like, that's kind of, we do want that in a platform fighter, but why was that such a big deal? And then I see what Nick did, and I'm like, oh, maybe they also knew, too, that Nick wasn't doing voice acting. So they're like, boom, leg up on the competition. We're having this, and they're not, so hold that.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know, like to pay Billy West to get in there and re-record lines as Ren and Stimpy. Like, if they're not willing to put $100,000 towards a tournament, I don't see them paying people like Jim Cummings and Billy West and Frank Welker. Like these are iconic voice actors. I don't know if they got paid to do new lines. And stepping in, we got man with the briefcase, Asif Khan, for some commentary.
You guys kept bringing up this idea of like $100,000 prize, pot bonus, prize pool, whatever you want to call it. And like, you're right. Nickelodeon has plenty of money. And to Denny's point, they have a channel that they could have broadcast a tournament on. So it's like, I feel like it's not fair to blame the developers here.
Sure.
Oh no, not at all.
Like, because they were hired by Viacom to make this game, right?
Ludosity did their job. Ludosity made the game, and to their credit, like, you know, Rodney's roommate Max Ketchum, people love the game because the gameplay is solid.
So, just me thinking out loud, like, maybe this game didn't sell well enough to justify any kind of a pot bonus.
Maybe.
Like, maybe they didn't break even, or like, we don't know what the break even number was for them. We don't know how much Ludosity got paid. I'm guessing it was probably a good deal for them. But yeah, like I think that's part of this is like if you're Nickelodeon and you see these Metacritic scores and you see your Steam charts falling off a cliff, why would you invest in it? I think is kind of my question. Like, you can't really blame them for not wanting to invest, but I agree with what Denny was saying. At launch, they should have had all the marketing force of Viacom behind them. We should have seen ads for a tournament on MTV, on Comedy Central. They should have had it. There should have been a show on Nickelodeon proper where they highlighted this game and the players and stuff. Like, they could have really done a better job, but I like Ludosity, and I think Slap City's a fun game. I don't want to drag them too hard here. Like, I think it's kind of Nickelodeon's fault, and maybe they have a reason for it. But I just want to throw my 2 cents in there that I think Nickelodeon's more to blame than Ludosity here. And credit to Ludosity and Fair Play Labs, like, listening to everyone's feedback, and it took a while. They're not the biggest company. So, like, for them to actually get this through and the work that had to be done with Nickelodeon to get those voice actors, like, all that takes time. I agree with you, they should have shipped with it. But I thought, like, 8 months, that is an eternity in video games, especially with however many games come out any given month. But, you know, really, in the world of platform fighting, there's just Multiversus and this. And, there's Ultimate. I think there's still room for them to, like, turn this around a little, but it's not on Ludosity. It's on Nickelodeon and Viacom.
Yeah,
that's
100% agree.
Great point, actually. Yeah, and I think you're right. I haven't made it clear enough that yes, this is pretty much all on the publisher side of things. All of these major faults.
Yeah, it is, and it almost makes you wonder what the idea for the game was at launch. I mean, of course, at its base level is to sell it, make money. You know, we have these iconic characters. Let's make them fight. But I'm like, well, you know, there is an industry template, an industry standard almost of like what we expect when we see platform fighters. And up until this point, they were the only one. Well, there was Smash, and then there was a cartoon Punch Time Explosion that we don't really talk about. But this is the newest one up until, you know, Multiversus that came out here. Like, you know, voice acting just kind of seems like that's what makes these characters iconic. You know, with the Nintendo characters, you know, a lot of those guys don't really talk, and they haven't really spoken any words in years. They're just now getting voice actors. But for these characters, I'm not expecting a full-on conversation behind, you know, SpongeBob and Patrick. I would have just taken at launch lines from the shows. But then I also think maybe from the world of acting, there are contracts with those lines and how they might need to be worked in, and of course, residual income that comes from these just very brief voice clips. But I would have liked it. To your point, Asif, I do think that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe not what it could have been had they done this correctly at launch, but I still think if a company could come in and put some money in on it, particularly a company that is in charge of Nick, Ludosity, Game Mill, or goddammit, Nickelodeon, I think Nick could have a pretty good future. Maybe not to the extent of a Multiversus, but you know, the Nick community is vibrant, and they certainly deserve some pop bonus. I don't want them to fall the same path as Smash. Like,
we don't know that Multiversus isn't going to fall flat on its face in 8 months either.
Yeah,
well, that's also true. Very true.
You know, like they have the money, they have the marketing. They seem to be doing a beta and like the right things right now. But we've seen platform fighters come and go, and to the companies that have had longevity, I always go back to Brawlhalla. Ubisoft invested immensely in that, and like put money up for the actual pot bonuses and the circuit that they created. Like, they actually put their money where their mouth is. I just don't know if, because Nickelodeon's a multimedia company, that they have that same motivation that you would from a game company, or even like WB, who has a lot of video game IP in their portfolio. You know, Nickelodeon's very much cartoon IP, The Adventures of Pete and Pete, whatever.
Yeah.
But like Multiversus is like a game that kind of transcends movie, film, and video game. So I think it's a little different in that sense. But we could be having the same conversation about Multiversus in 9 months, and maybe it's not, oh, there wasn't voice acting. Because, like, honestly, when I think of Smash Ultimate, I think of the voice acting in Smash Ultimate.
Yeah, there's not really a lot.
Like, what are we talking about here? It's like, Yahoo!
Yeah.
It's like,
right.
It's a couple of Charles Martinet words, you know? Like,
Yep.
So,
yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
We're not asking for the moon here, is my point.
True. I will say, to their credit, with the items they've added, they hit a note with me. They definitely got me with the log from Blammo. I mean, it's log. It's log.
Yep.
It's big, it's heavy, it's wood.
There you go.
It's log. It's better than bad. It's good. And that is great. I kind of want to use the log. I want to use the log. I want to sing that song while I use the log in Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl.
Yeah. And
do you think that picking the name Brawl was doomed from the start?
I was actually just about to say that. I was just about to say that. Like, they put the B word in there, and what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, Brawl is the worst Smash. Everybody knows it.
I can't think of a more cursed thing to call your game than Brawl.
Can't make your platform fighter and call it Brawl.
Hey, fellas.
You know what's a great mechanic, Rod? Tripping.
Hold on, just give me a second here.
just randomly tripping over nothing.
It's okay, they fixed it, but then they made the fix illegal.
There was a lot of cool things about Brawl, and there wouldn't be in Smash 4 and Ultimate had it not been for Brawl. But you are right, though. You're right. Tripping was super whack, friends, okay? But think about the door that it opened in terms of innovation. We got a story mode. We got cool characters. I mean, we had clones out the woodwork in the previous Smash game. Now we got cool and innovative characters, third parties. But yes, competitively, though, this is where this game needs to shine. Tripping was booty. It was booty. We cannot lie about that. I like Brawl.
The actual core mechanics in Nick All-Star Brawl are not that bad. Like they're not. It's a competent game, and it's a fair playing field. So I don't think like I felt like it was none of your fault, but I felt like you guys were talking about ludosity too much. Like, Nickelodeon, I think, is to blame here, and I think Denny made that point too. Like, it's just it seems like these giant corporations just like. They just think they can write a check to a video game company and then come back 6 months later and collect their profits. Like they still don't seem to like oversee projects very well. And like we've seen it for a decade or multiple decades with movie games sucking and all sorts of stuff like that. So this kind of resembles that. And it's like I said, once again, no offense to the actual devs here. I think like the expectations were probably too high. Because of the IP attached to this game. Like, if you were just like, hey, the Slap City devs are making a game, I don't think we would have had the same expectations.
If this was Slap City 2, I think this game, yes, would be looked at completely differently. It would... I don't think it would even nearly be seen as I don't want to say failure, but it definitely wouldn't be seen as the less of a success that it is. You know, if this was Slap City 2, I'm sure it would be seen as very successful.
And we would focus on things like the fact that they put rollback netcode in there.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, we would be focusing on all of the great things that they added to this game.
Which is like a key differentiator from Smash, if we're being honest. And like it's largely being kind of swept under the rug now. There's a lot that's good in this game. It's fast-paced, and as an esport, I thought it was kind of fun to watch. Rod, I know you've commentated a couple times on it. Like, I don't think that was the problem. So it's like you said, like sometimes companies just need to like foot the bill a little bit more. And I know that we say Viacom's like big and everything. They're like the struggle bus right now. I don't know.
They really?
If you look at that platform or that company as a platform, they have Paramount Plus, which is like probably the worst streaming service on earth.
It's pretty booty.
You know, like it struggles. It's
I
a
watch
Star Trek
place.
so
I
get it. I
watch
it. They got Below Decks, they got Picard, they got like Star Trek IP, right? And they have the South Park specials that come out every once in a while. But like they have the Halo series, which is complete trash. Like you just look at the level of quality assurance they have on their platform.
That's true.
It's not that surprising that this game shipped in the condition it was in. Like, a company that actually cares about their brands probably wouldn't have shipped the game in the state it was in.
I think if this game had just stayed in development this entire time, had not shipped in October, but instead had shipped June 2022, you know, with everything that it has now, all of the characters that it has now, the voice acting, the items, and everything, I think it would be seen as like fierce competition to not only Multiverses, but maybe even Smash. But instead of it just this releasing at I guess a AA price point, that $40 price point, releasing at that price point and then staying at that price point this entire time when the game kind of just felt unfinished, I don't know. It turns me off from the entire game.
Well,
and again, that's all a publisher decision. That is not a developer
It's
decision.
still $50 on Steam.
$50.
Yeah, that's just something has to change there. Like, it's not a $50 game. I think at best $20. I could argue 20, 15. But I can't do 40, 50.
I think in the state it's in now.
Yeah, it's $50 on PlayStation as well.
With the patch that came out today, I think $39.99 is a very fair asking price.
Yes.
But that's the game now. I have to judge the game as it was released because it's still the same price. And people
it is on sale for Switch at $20.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Go get it on Switch, people, if you want to play this game.
Or just don't get it on
or not. Well, friends, on the subject of IPs, I can talk and interact and do what they're supposed to do at launch. We got to talk about something that I feel like is more in Denny Von Doom's wheelhouse. And Asif, I'm actually glad you're here too because I want to get your thoughts on this. Street Fighter 6 was announced, friends. What are our thoughts on this, Denny? I'll have you go first if you like.
Yeah, for sure. Street Fighter 6, I think, actually is looking pretty hype. I mean, I think the reveal was actually one of the best portions of the state of play that we saw just a few days ago. I was quite impressed by what I saw. I think they're definitely doing a full-blown overhaul, which is important. I think that there was a lot of complaints from people who may not have been the biggest fans of Street Fighter 5 because they wanted more freedom as far as technique and options you have available. So seeing stuff about the new drive system where there's 5 different game mechanics, including parry options for every character off rip, already adds more depth to the game, I think, than what we might have seen from 5. It seems like they're pretty much adding in different mechanics from 3, 4, and 5, basically, into one game. You've got like a focus attack type of drive move. You have an offensive attack cancel option, which means you can extend combos kind of like a Marvel game. And then you got your traditional kind of parry options as well, which gives you some different ways to play and fight. And there's also elements of open world that they're adding into the game as well. So I think that can be really interesting because we could potentially maybe see characters that may not be necessarily playable in game show up as boss fights in the open world portions of the game instead.
I want to talk about that with you real quick, Denny. This open world, they showed it to us, but we didn't really I don't understand what the gameplay is or how it kind of fits into it. We also got another close-up of Ryu's feet right there.
Oh, God.
In case you're into that, you didn't even have to subscribe to his OnlyFans. You could just watch this trailer over and over again.
He's got to pay that rent, get that rice. He's paying for it.
There you go.
But I'm really curious because Street Fighter V didn't really ship with an arcade, like a story component, right? So this is them saying,
Street Fighter V didn't ship with much.
Yeah,
much like Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl.
Very bare bones.
But one of the big things missing was that single player element in SF5. It seems like they're saying with this trailer, you're gonna get some sort of single player thing. Yeah. And for me, who's kind of a bum in fighting games, I like having a good story mode to play through. So I liked World of Light, and I think I'm gonna like whatever the hell this is. And to your point earlier, Rod, like I did like Subspace Emissary too. Like there are elements of single player and fighting games I really am interested in. This definitely, I'm curious if it's just like you're walking around this world and then it's like Final Fantasy where you have like a random encounter and then you have to fight Chun-Li in the game.
So the worst kept secrets about this so far is that it's definitely Metro City.
Yeah.
And it's in the RE engine.
Yeah, it definitely looks good. I mean, as far as
the RE engine's clean.
It's very clean.
They are switching from Unreal to their own in-house RE engine for Street Fighter, and that really surprises me because that really showcases the versatility of RE engine to be able to pull off not only 3D action games but fighting game as well. Like, yeah, I think this is going to be nice.
But you could say goodbye to crossplay. Because, like, Unreal Engine makes crossplay, like, very simple. And I know one of the big announcements from this was that we're getting this day and date on Xbox and on PlayStation.
I think there's got to be some kind of scenario that involves some crossplay, because to go from being PlayStation exclusive to not allowing crossplay, there's got to be at least a connection to, like, PC or something, I feel like, because of the way the scene works. It may not be crossplay with PS4 and Xbox, but I think also being on PS4 in general was also another thing.
But we've never really seen RE Engine used in like a multiplayer scenario. I guess there was that one game that came with.
They did a beta, or not like a beta. Yes, it was a little spin-off, like Resident Evil multiplayer, like kind of like a squad versus.
It was the mastermind versus 4 people.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name of it was.
I have a friend who's played it, and he enjoyed his time with it, but I can't speak as to like the performance of it, whether it had any netcode problems or anything like that.
It worked, but yeah, I'm trying to see what it's called Resistance. Resistance.
Yes.
So that's the one example I can think of where we've seen RE Engine used in like a multiplayer environment. So that's like the only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is like, if this is RE Engine and this is like a single player thing, like maybe they're really focused on the like on console experience, which won't really affect the esport element of it because we like in-person events and stuff like that. But yeah, just from like if you look back at Street Fighter V, like one of its biggest weaknesses was definitely its online play. It got better over time, but it was never as crisp as like Guilty Gear Strive is. Right, and obviously they have rollback netcode. This doesn't, so it's a question of that's the phrase that I'm waiting for them to say. Because like it feels like you shouldn't ship a fighting game without rollback these days.
I mean, I think they've learned a lesson from 5. They learned a lot of lessons from 5 with just the amount of community feedback. I mean, they did do a ton of surveys over the years, originally both in person at events and online, as far as like getting feedback from the community about what
is it
would make
with
things
Capcom
better.
and surveys, Denny.
There's a lot of that happening. But I think that with both the RE engine involved, and it's something they're doing like the Battle Hub thing too, like which reminds me kind of like PlayStation Home kind of, and like old school days, like almost like I want to say it was Alpha 3 had something like that in there too. So those elements, I think they're planning on. Based off of what kind of Street Fighter V was doing towards the end, where they'd have like special fights where you could win costumes, like say you'd fight like a Mecha Zangief or something like that. I could see them adding in bosses over time, like every season or something like that, with different elements to kind of keep people playing on the single player mode, and then introducing some of the more engaging multiplayer options too down the line they can kind of build out of. My only concern is the how the PS4 port is going to work here.
Yes,
like a different version of the game.
That's going to be my version of the game.
Yeah, like is that going to be a situation where like if there is crossplay, that those aren't going to be allowed in the same level, or is it going to be more of a streamlined experience or something like that?
We talked about a game that fell into this trap, Denny, a lot on this show. Halo Infinite. Infinite had to support the bargain basement Xbox One SKU. right? So you had hardware that's like 8 years old that needs to be supported by a game that's coming out in 2022. I am also worried about that. And then is it a situation where you're going to have cross-gen multiplayer compatibility, so PS4 to PS5, Xbox One to Xbox Series, whatever? Because that when your baseline hardware is that old, is it going to limit the performance of the game? That's a concern. That's like, why not rip the Band-Aid off and say, you know what, Rod, go get a PS5 or go play this on PC and like make sure that this is. I hate saying next gen because we're well into this gen. Make sure that this is a current gen fighting game.
Right. I think they're scared of like the Sony and the supply chain right now being what it is.
Well, they want to sell as many copies as possible. And if you put your game on Series X only and PS5 only, you're not going to sell as many copies because there's just not as many consoles out there.
But if it sucks on the other ones, like no one's going to buy it there either.
I don't see it sucking. I mean, so RE Engine has been shown it runs on Xbox One and PS4 just fine. You know,
but my PS4 sounds like a goddamn lawnmower when I play RE3 on it.
When you play RE3, yeah. I mean, my One X tears through Resident Evil 2 just fine. You know, like it. But that's, I mean, it is a quieter machine. But the original PS4,
yes, that's what I'm talking about. Those baseline consoles, which is
but what my point is, I have faith that Capcom can deliver a version on those baseline PS4, Xbox One consoles that runs at a solid 60 frames per second at whatever resolution and graphics effects, you know, pared down that it needs to in order to get there. Like, obviously, it's going to be pared down resolution. It's going to be pared down graphically. But being Street Fighter, it has to run at 60 frames per second. It has to run at a fluid 60 frames per second with nice even frame pacing and all of that. So I don't see cross-gen being too difficult for them because each machine will be running the game, you know, at the proper speed. It's just if you're playing on a PS4 or an Xbox One, it's just not going to look as good for you.
What they're showing us right now has to be current gen.
I think it says at the beginning of the trailer that it's running on the PS5.
Yeah. So like, to me, that's going to just set up a situation where it will look worse on those older consoles.
Oh, guaranteed. Guaranteed it will.
There's no way around it.
To your point, you're right that RE2 remake and RE3 remake work on the older consoles. So it's not that I'm not saying that RE Engine is
good. They look damn good on the old consoles too.
Yeah, I'm not saying RE Engine is poorly scalable or anything. I think it actually scales very well across hardware. But it's just more work for the devs, and I can't help but think in the back of my head how horribly limited Halo Infinite has been by these issues and how that could spill over here. But then again, this is a far superior engine, and Capcom has shown us many times with Monster Hunter World, like all sorts of games, that they are capable of making a solid online experience game, a multiplayer game. And also, talking about Monster Hunter World, probably one of the most graphically impressive PlayStation 4 games to ever ship. So
a question I wanted to ask all of you, because I mean, I'm totally cribbing this from a YouTube channel that I follow, but it's a valid question, and I think it's a very interesting one. Should Street Fighter 6 be free to play, or some part of it be free to play? I mean, I think it's a viable option.
I don't think Capcom is going to go that route at all.
No.
I don't think that's
them going that route, but should they go that route?
No.
I mean, you know, they're leading the pack in where fighting games are going. I mean, you know, whether their game sucks or is going really well. I mean, I think Street Fighter 6 looks like a return to some sort of form, and with a bunch of other extra beautiful things added along with it. You know, they're trying to make as much money as they can off this. I mean, I think even just looking at our previous conversation about it being on multiple consoles kind of just proves that they're looking to make as much money as possible. And I think for a company like, you know, Street Fighter, I'm perfectly okay with that. Now, this was somebody smaller, like our previous discussion with Game Mill and Ludasi. I'm like, yeah, I'd take a free-to-play platform fighter like Nick, but this is Capcom. Like, they're going to get their coins off of this.
I think they plan on...
It sets a date... Sorry, go ahead, Danny.
I think they plan on expanding on things with this open world aspect. I think if there's ways of them, especially if it comes down to like this game's clearly gonna have DLC characters or season passes. I can see them doing like a
Costumes.
free week with certain characters,
Absolutely.
or you can earn costumes from beating a certain boss fight or something like that during a certain week. Like that's going to be more of their end for that kind of stuff. If you wanted to try something out, or you want like a free trial for a week or something like that during like say Capcom Cup or Evo or something, next year, I can see those elements happening in that way. But going directly free to play, no. I think that because of just the amount of effort that went into Street Fighter V and then having it be exclusive, they're definitely trying to saturate as much Street Fighter. I feel like to kind of build the brand back up in a way that makes it a kind of a phenomenon in itself culturally, to the level of the same way you see Mortal Kombat is always pretty much sold the most out of all of the fighting games because it has so much of that mainstream cultural side. I think they're trying to move Street Fighter back in that direction where it's part of the culture as a whole.
I'm sure they want to repeat Street Fighter 4. I mean, that was just
that was amazing
for them.
Yeah, but it also had the elements of the tournament scene that grew out of it as well that was worldwide to a level where I think that it seems like Capcom is prepared to move things towards being both more professional, but also having more of a worldwide scale. Now that there's Sony being involved in Evo and some of that crossover, I can see them doing more worldwide events that involve exhibitions and stuff like that with the game. That might even move towards television and stuff like that, like they used to do before with some of the other stuff. We have stuff on TBS and other channels down the line. So.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, Brian, about going free to play, but I think it's like a game of chicken right now. Like you have Arc, you have NetherRealm, and you have Capcom, and they're all sitting there. It's that Office meme where everyone has guns pointed at each other. I just don't think anyone's going to shoot first here because the minute SF goes free to play, MK has to.
Well, yeah, that's a big part of the question is because the industry follows Street Fighter, right? I mean, Street Fighter is synonymous with fighting game. You look up fighting game in the encyclopedia and you get a picture of Street Fighter 2, obviously. So, so the industry has always been catching up with Street Fighter. So you're right. Once they go free to play, then NetherRealm feels like Mortal Kombat has to, and Namco feels like Tekken has to.
And no one wants to lose that money, man.
No.
If this is a game that's going to sell 20 million units over its life or something, who wouldn't want to have the $1.2 billion of revenue for selling this at 60? And then to Denny's point, DLC for the single player, DLC for the fighters. That's probably you're probably going to get someone who pays $120 over the life of Street Fighter 6 for the game and all the characters and all the DLC. Why would you take that revenue per user and slash it in half to 60? Because you're not gonna make it up on DLC sales. I don't think.
Street Fighter. I'm guessing so. Street Fighter, they do command that premium, right? They put out their product and it's a full price product. You have to pay $60 for it. But then, yes, you're right. You also do have to pay for DLC. And I think you are right. They are going to double down on just how much is available in this one, not only with characters, costumes, and everything, but the commentator packs. And I kind of want to get Rodney's thought on that. What's your thought on them, including official commentary packs from real FGC commentators, in this, and just thinking of how much recording would you have to do in the booth to cover all the situations for a game like this?
As somebody who uses his voice, I mean, very, very little, really just for commentary, and you might get a piano cover every so often. Even that takes a lot of voice out of me. So I can only imagine what Vicious had to do in the booth for this. And this isn't a matter of just taking old voice clips from other tournaments like what we've seen with Nick. He had to actually get in the booth and, get his Michael Jackson on in there. But I think this kind of helps push Street Fighter. We had a discussion about this a few episodes ago about when is esports going to be looked at as as viable as regular sports and blah blah blah. I think Street Fighter, again, just being the powerhouse that it is in the fighting game community, having that in-house commentary in the game, it gives it that MMA feel. It gives it that WWE feel where now I can hear what's going on. I can understand why I'm doing something incorrect on the fly. And it kind of subconsciously puts, the average player in this game, it makes them think, oh, this is a real thing now. Like this feels like sports. Like I'm getting like 2K vibes. I'm going to stick around and I'm going to play this for a long time. I love that addition. I thought that should have been done a very long time ago between Street Fighter and Tekken and even Mortal Kombat as well too. I know Ed Boon on Twitter kind of rumored that there was supposed to be a Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat collab that happened, but they kind of went in a different direction, probably because they don't want to see Ryu.
Tried to make that happen a few times.
Yeah, they don't want to see Ryu, get his absolute head ripped off and shoved up his ass. Like that's just not what they want to do with their IPs. Yeah. However, I think, with Street Fighter doing that, I would love to hear that with Tekken. I would for sure love to hear that, especially with Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat kind of gave us the toasty and everything like that. But I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. Very proud of everybody who helped push and greenlight that through. Street Fighter 6 is really just, I feel like, a title that's going to reshape a lot of things. But to the overall point, I don't think, again, it should be free to play. I think this game is going to be a return to form. Street Fighter V was a step in a very odd direction. They tried a lot of different things, and they tried some things that just don't work anymore in this day and age. But 6 looks good. It looks damn good.
Yeah, it looks like it's set up to be the premier fighting game right now. And that's pretty much where, obviously people have different scenes. There's Tekken and MK and all those other things. But I always feel like this game feels on the level with MK11 as far as graphic fidelity, at least from the start. Which means that they're catching up on that level when now the mechanics and everything else that people wanted to see from Street Fighter moving forward is also hitting that new point. So I feel like this might be a new kind of era for Street Fighter as a whole moving forward. They kind of push this level up for the other games.
The art style is definitely informed by the history of the franchise.
Yeah.
So I've seen some side-by-sides of like SF2 sprites and SF6 characters, and I'm just like, wow, they like really went back and were like, we want this to feel like a Street Fighter game. And I know it's like easy to say. Another little thing that they did, they changed the logo.
For sure.
Yes, they did change it a little bit.
It's no longer the Adobe clip art that it was the first time they showed it.
No, it's quality.
It's not quite as ugly.
Art culture, they're embracing the hip-hop culture too overall. Just the overall style, which I think
even that Capcom at the beginning of the trailer.
Yeah. The
spray paint. Yeah.
Yeah, hip-hop culture and fighting game community culture has always been kind of intertwined. So it's only natural that they would kind of, lean into that. But yeah, just speaking real quick about that real-time developer or real-time commentary feature, I think that moving forward is going to be a must in all big name fighting games. Like that is just, I think it's a really, really cool feature. And I
think it could go elsewhere too. Like I would love to see it in
Rocket League and
fighting or FPS.
First-person shooters. Yeah,
that's what I mean when I'm saying like it's setting the precedent as kind of like the future of where we're going to head for this kind of competitive gameplay. And Street Fighter can kind of hold up as the premier.
Do you think that it's going to replace actual commentators, Rod?
I don't. I did see Jabali make that little that funny tweet, and I'm actually going to bring that up when we have our discussion with him later on this week. But I don't think so. I think the idea of it is just to add to the experience of whatever it is that you're doing right now, like just sound clips, very similar to like a Stuart Scott Booyah or something like that. But I still think commentary and, the analyst desk and stuff definitely play a very specific role, especially in fighting game culture where we talk about frame data and what's safe and what's unsafe and whatnot. So I would imagine they brought Vicious into, sound clips, to get the player hype and back into the match. Like NBA Street, like DJ Cucumber Slice by Beto Garcia. He did a lot of in-game commentary, but it wasn't like anything super in-depth. And I still think we'll need the real commentary for that. Jabali's tweet it was a very, very funny tweet, but no.
Well, with enough recording in the booth and, if you get enough commentary in the game to cover pretty much any situation, like you can have the commentary in game pretty much react to anything and sound good. But
Yeah.
it won't be able to. It still wouldn't be able to predict things that might happen. It won't be able to analyze the match in real time like a person would watching a tournament and, make their assumptions or predictions based on that. So obviously,
this isn't the first time we've seen this in a game either. Like, we've seen it in Madden and we've seen it in 2K.
Oh yeah, it was a big thing.
And 2K, as someone who plays it, I can speak to like how it sounds canned, right? Like they say that they tell you the same story about LeBron James every time he's at the free throw line, stuff like that, where that's something that a real life commentator like Rod is not going to do. It's not going to be, and also like you're not going to hear any commentary about esports players in this game's commentary, because it's all going to be about Ryu and Ken, and they'll be talking about the characters. So I think that's like one element that will make it very hard to replace it. But Madden has been doing this longer than maybe anyone, and it is actually pretty good at commentating, except those occasional stories where they tell you the same story about JJ Watt that you heard in the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter. I do think there's elements.
I will be curious to see if you could like randomize, or like if you could add in a variety beyond just like two commentators. If you had like, say, you could bring in different ones for different matchups, or it randomizes itself. Like, say you're playing online and you don't want to have necessarily just Vicious and just someone else commentating for every single match you're doing. It just chooses ones for you. I think that would add to the variety, so you don't get tired of hearing the same voice over and over again with every match. Also,
last week, Charles Barkley was the commentator for the match, which was like a golf game between Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, right? So it's dumb, right? Football players playing golf, whatever. But Charles Barkley, I'd let him commentate anything. Put him in the Street Fighter game. If we had a Charles Barkley commentary DLC, I would buy that.
Just shut up and jam DLC,
Yeah, same with Snoop Dogg. I like Snoop Dogg's commentary with
would make sense.
Mike Tyson.
He was a Triller at some of those fights, and he's awesome. He's awesome on the mic. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like this, I think Denny, like this could open like a whole world of DLC for Capcom if they do it right, and they seem like the right company to experiment in this space.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense for sure.
Before we move on, I wanted to get into one more big change that is coming to Street Fighter 6, which also ties into my should the game be free to play, because making a game free to play obviously opens it up to a much larger audience. And one change coming to the game that also will open it to a much larger audience is the simplified special inputs, where you can now perform a special just by doing a Smash Brothers-esque direction input plus a button at the same time. So you'll basically have your up special, down special, left special, right special, or maybe neutral special, depending, on the character. So yeah, what do you guys? I want to hear what Denny. How do you feel about this command change coming to the game?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked into this pretty closely because I was, trying to see how this was going to work. It's something that basically I don't really see coming into competitive play, really. But as far as like being able to play the game itself, yeah, I think it should be fine. I mean, you'll be able to, hit your shurikens and such a lot easier and be part of the game in that way. But you have to keep in mind that, like, with the way the layout is set up for the simple controls, you're getting one of each button. So one heavy attack, one light attack, and one medium attack, compared to getting a medium punch, a medium kick, a heavy punch. So that in itself limits the amount of options you're going to have for both, offense and defense. Our moveset.
That won't affect competitive play at all.
Yeah, like so that already, people are going to be playing with simple controls on competitive play because you're going to limit the combo potential on that end. So it's going to be available for people to be able to play casually and keep up with folks. Like, say you're not the best at doing shuriken inputs, those kind of things. This way, you'll be able to, make those things happen. Or some of the mechanics, like they brought up the drive system and how that's going to work. Like, if you're not one that's comfortable with pushing two buttons to be able to get the, drive parry to come out in a certain timing, now you have one button. You can hit the shoulder button and it'll, hit that for you. So that kind of convenience will be...
I think it's going to be really good for, like, young players. Like, people who don't have the nostalgia feels that we do for SF2. Like, there's a whole new generation of kids out there that could get into Street Fighter and giving them these easier control options, I think it's going to be good for them. And
it's also just good for accessibility overall in general. I think it gives you more options that you can, because at the end of the day, we'll still be able to change up our button layouts. I personally will be using a fight stick, so if I want to have it set up differently, that's going to happen regardless of which layout people are going with. I'm just curious of how they're going to do that online as far as like pooling. If you're having like unranked matches and then you can use simple layouts, or if they'll have some kind of in between for the matches in between for competitive.
I say let them all fight each other. I say let the simplified players play against the non-simplified players, and we'll just see how the chips fall.
That's actually a good point. Now, friends, I got some simple buttons those people out in the Twitch chat can press, all right? You know what those buttons are, all right? That's the follow button. That's the subscribe button, okay? If you're here at shacknews.com, you know exactly why the hell you're here. And if you just stumbled in, well, I hope that this episode of Wide World of Electronic Sports has convinced you to stick around for the rest of the awesome content that we have coming up here pretty soon. Like, follow, subscribe, shacknews.com. We have so much to offer you. Of course, cool content, some of the most awesome emotes that we've ever seen. Lola, the Pomeranian, my boss, cutest dog I've ever met. The most handsome emote on Twitch, which is Donovan Erskine. You won't want to miss that one. So please subscribe. And a handful of others. We also have cool content on our social media platforms as well. Twitter.com. We are very active. Everybody in this call has Twitter fingers. I've seen us all tweet. You can follow. Well, Austin is going to tell you not to follow him, but he posts a lot of really cool stuff too, but don't follow him. Follow him, please. And follow the rest of us as well on Shack News, okay? Myself, Denny Von Doom, and of course, my wonderful friend Skankcore up here in the corner. Follow Shack News on Twitter. That's the one-stop shop right there. You can learn about how everything gets made and everything gets done there as well. And of course, head over to shacknews.com. All right, that is our one-stop shop, our centralized hub for everything that makes Shack News as great as it is. Okay, we got our own little personal profiles on there. I got one, Aso has one, Denny has one, Brian has one, Below the Pomeranian has one as well too. Okay, and if you thought I was just memeing about her being in charge, it's actually confirmed on the website. So go check that out. Instagram as well too for all my Instagrammers, Instagrammies. I don't know what they call themselves these days, but if you like pictures, Instagrammies, okay? Well, if you like pictures and videos being posted simultaneously, then my wonderful friend Denny Von Doom has you covered. He's the one in charge of everything that makes the Instagram as beautiful as it is. Shack News Media. Go ahead and give that a follow. And, of course, what is Twitch without YouTube? What is YouTube without Twitch? Okay, these VODs got to go some damn where. We're going to go to both of our YouTube channels as well. And that big shout out to Greg Burkleton-Burke. Greg Burke gets right to work. He is working triple hard these days right now, working on all this cool content we got coming up. Go ahead and head on over to both of our YouTube channels, Gamer Hub, and of course, the Shack News channel. We got reviews, previews, and like I always say, Steve views and all types of cool stuff. So if you like video games, if you like nerd culture, if you like music, if you like trading cards, okay, we got a show that we do every third Wednesday of the month called Retail Therapy, where we talk about things that we just like to collect. We do a little Pokemon, we did a little sneakers, we did a little figurines, we do all types of stuff. We got something for everybody here at Shack News. And the great thing about it is that all this content is free, but the best free content of them all, of course, is Shack Pets, okay? Shack Pets, please download that. If you got a smartphone, if you got a phone that's smarter than you, there's a good chance that you can download Shack Pets. So please check it out. Say goodbye to all the doom scrolling and all that weird stuff on twitter.com and say hello, of course, to pet scrolling, fluff scrolling, okay? We got cats, dogs. It's the ultimate battle of cuteness. What else do you really need? And it's free. Who doesn't like free stuff, gentlemen? I like free stuff. I know I do. So download Shack Pets today. Do yourself a favor and enjoy the greatness that is Shack Pets.
Oh, I actually have breaking esports news. If you guys would like to hear it,
let's do it. What's going on?
You guys know I love Tetris. It is one of my favorite video games ever, and Classic Tetris World Championship, maybe one of the most electrifying sports, esports events of the year. Classic Tetris World Championship has announced that they are returning to an IRL event.
Oh.
At the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, October 14th through the 16th of 2022. So this will be the first Classic Tetris World Championship in real life back in Portland since the pandemic.
Yes.
If you haven't watched these, I highly recommend it. You'll hear people yell "Boom Tetris." You'll hear people talk about being Tetris ready. This is the NES version of Tetris. Obviously a ROM version of it, right, Brian? And it's
no, I believe they play on Nintendos. Yeah, they play on actual hardware.
I thought they might have done some kind of ROM so that it communicated with their stream software or something.
If they do use a ROM hacked version, then they would run it off of like an EverDrive inside of a Nintendo.
I think they might be running off NES then. Yeah, so this classic Tetris, I think there was... I'd have to do some research on it, but I remember talking to people about it being a slightly modified version. But yeah,
look at Jay Tensor.
We got
James Chin.
Yes, look at this though. It's gonna be something. I can't wait. This is one of my favorite events.
Commentated Tetris live tournaments because he's
James
known for
Chen,
FGC.
He's a Tetris fan. He's actually really good in esports as well too. Yeah, I have caught him in Jabaland on a handful of occasions doing, or at least watching, the Puyo Puyo Tetris. And a lot of that cool stuff. So yeah, James Chen gets down, and anything that makes the brain have to critically think on the fly, James is on top of it. So
there is this weird feeling that's very similar to fighting games. You know, fighting games are always 1v1 most of the time, right? There's a similar kind of bravado in Tetris where it's you versus your opponent. The crowd gets wild. There are swings. You know, there are comebacks. There's also Joseph Sally, who is the GOAT right now. He's one of those players who invented hyper tapping, which is like a way of playing Tetris that is different. It involves your 2 index fingers instead of your thumbs. The level of play in Tetris in the last 10 years has changed drastically. Like, obviously we lost Jonas a few years ago, who was the GOAT, 7-time champion, all that. But he opened the door for this group of very young players who were born after the NES was out of production.
Well, born after Tetris was no longer even held by, it probably changed companies 20 times who's publishing it.
Yeah. So to see this whole new generation of people, it's a lot like Melee, Rod, where we see Zane rising right now, and we've seen IBDW and all these new guys that are kind of taking the mantle from Mango and Armada before him and all those guys. We're seeing something similar happening in classic Tetris. And it's Tetris is just one of those esports that will never go away.
Yeah, it's beautiful to watch. Yeah, I had a lot of fun interacting with it when we did a couple stimulus games. I think we did 1 or 2 that I did where we ran the newer Tetris, and I was like, it's touching that fighting game part of my brain. It's making me think quickly on the fly and everything. And I completely get it, and I want to see more of this brand too.
Tetris 99, you really are competing with the other person, so you can throw pieces their way, you can attack them. So there's definitely an element here. This is literally just, I'm going to be better than you at Tetris Marathon. And that's a different level of skill that you see here. Though, the worst player who's going to enter this tournament is ridiculously awesome at Tetris. And I just think it's cool to watch that evolve. Shout out to Ozzy Mejia, who threw that at us in Slack to let us know. But we're an esports show, breaking esports news.
Looks like we also got some news. We also got some other breaking news. I just showed up on my feed. Capcom announced they're having their own showcase. It looks like on the 13th.
Shit!
Of course.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So there is going to be...
we'll be reporting on that.
It says it looks like it's going to be around 35 minutes of news and in-depth updates on
previously
announced Capcom titles. So
give us 35 minutes RE4.
So we might see some more Street Fighter there.
We might see some Street Fighter.
I'd be okay if Street Fighter 6 kind of takes a back burner so we can hear more about RE4 during E-Week. And then let's give us some more SF6 at EVO.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that we'll get something, because I have a feeling that this game is going to drop early part of 2023. It might even drop before Resident Evil does, to be honest. I can see it coming into that first quarter. So if that happens, maybe an exhibition of some kind would be nice.
I could see a network playtest happening sometime this year for Street Fighter 6 for sure. But no,
exciting news.
Yeah, exciting news. Just about Tetris, I absolutely agree. Tetris, the esport of Tetris, competitive Tetris, is one of the most exciting esports to watch. I absolutely love watching it. It's right up there with Melee for me. So yeah, I'm really excited to see in-person Tetris
broadcasting
coming
it on
back
ESPN.
this October.
Like this is mainstream. Like it shows up on ESPN, ESPN2. Just major networks are getting behind this, and it's like already happened, right? So like I as a fan, like I already watched it on Twitch, and then ESPN reruns it, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch it again because it's just like I didn't even know the outcome, but like as someone who just likes Tetris, I love watching their strats. I can't hyper tap to save my life, but I do like watching other people who are proficient at it.
And it's absolutely wonderful. Yeah, we're definitely going to be keeping our eyes on that October 14th through 16th in Portland. But let's move on from one of the best, or one of the better.
You're not going to mention the roster leak of Street Fighter 6?
Oh well, I thought we had moved on from Street Fighter 6, but yes, there was a roster. There was so much Street Fighter 6 news. I thought we even touched on the roster leak. But yes, there was a roster leak with Street Fighter. That was also confirmed, basically. Capcom is like, you know what? You guys are right.
That kind of sucks. Because, like, 90% of the marketing behind a fighting game is character announcements.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel bad for them.
It's hard to keep a secret in video games nowadays. It really is.
That's what makes the Sora reveal so damn impressive in Smash Ultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was a surprise. And
but this roster's looking good. I like it. I mean, there's definitely some fan favorites there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I will still be just as hype when they drop the Blanca trailer as I was before I knew that they were obviously putting Blanca in Street Fighter 6. That's not that.
You might be muted in OBS, Denny. I'm not sure. Sam says he couldn't hear you.
There you go. Thanks, Sam.
There you go. All right. Thank you, Sam. But yeah, no, you're right. I think the new characters do look really interesting. AKI, like, that's going to be crazy. Like, I don't know what's up with her. Like, that's just off the wall character for sure. Might be kind of like Vega, with the claws. I don't know.
I'm just happy to see that there's not 20 like blue-eyed blonde characters in this version of the game.
Yes.
There was always like a ridiculous amount of blondes in Street Fighter 5 and 4. I was like, it's just getting out of control.
They all look like Cody from Final Fight.
It was getting out of
different hairstyles.
All right, but we got to move on.
That's fine. I just wanted to let the folks know that there has been a character leak.
Yes. But we have to move on to one of the best esports of all of esports, really. And that, of course, is Overwatch League. Yes, Overwatch League.
Shit.
It's back. You missed it. I know you were looking forward to it. Overwatch League has started their latest pro season with the 2022 kickoff clash. Viewership was an improvement over last year's kickoff event, but so year over year, an improvement, but overall pretty average for the Overwatch League in general.
Down from when they left Twitch.
Yeah, pretty much.
They were pulling hundreds of thousands of views on Twitch.
400,000 concurrents on Twitch. They got 120,000 concurrents on YouTube, which isn't bad.
No, it's not
but
bad.
It's just not. It's not what they were used to getting. Not even close. So looks like Dallas Fuel and Los Angeles Gladiators met in like round 2. The LA Gladiators sent Dallas Fuel down to the losers bracket with a 3-1 match. Dallas Fuel made their way all the way through losers to the grand finals to meet up with the LA Gladiators again. And then the LA Gladiators just smacked them down again, 4-0 this time. So LA wins your Overwatch League 2022 kickoff.
But
really,
wait, there's more. What if I told you there was a power ranking on Owl's website? Would you like to hear the top 20 Overwatch League teams?
There's 20?
First of all, I had no idea there were 20 Overwatch League teams.
Jeez.
The worst ranked, number 20, Vancouver Titans. Number 19, Huangzhou Charge. 18, the New York Excelsior fell 2 spots. 17, Paris Eternal. Chengdu Hunters are 16. Los Angeles Valiant are 15. Washington Justice, which is maybe the worst name in the entire league. Like, come on, Washington Justice. 14, Boston Uprising 13. Atlanta Reign 12. London Spitfire 11. Houston Outlaws 10. Toronto Defiant 9. Florida Mayhem 8. That's maybe the most appropriately named team. Philadelphia Fusion 7. Seoul Dynasty 6. Los Angeles Gladiators 5. Hangzhou Spark 2. My team, the Shanghai Dragons, 3rd on the power rankings.
Yeah.
San Francisco Shocker 2. They've actually won a couple of these. And the Dallas Fuel sitting there at number 1.
So the number 1 power ranked team lost. They got 2nd place in this tournament. The number 5th power ranked team won the tournament. But really, all the winners are the friends we made along the way in the YouTube chat watching with 120,000 people.
Yeah, so it's back.
Yes, that's the news.
I mean,
it's back.
I feel like people underestimate like the power of competition. There's so much more out there since Overwatch was first blowing up where it is.
Yes,
between Valorant, Apex, and like all these other games now that are available, like they've put a huge dent into the scenes.
And all
Overwatch
of those
have this competition back in the day. Also,
all of those esports that you just mentioned, Denny, are way easier to watch. Like, I cannot stand spectating Overwatch League. It hurts my head. Like these scenes where it's like bird's eye view camera and then there's just people running all over the place. Like, it's hard to tell.
To quote a YouTuber that I used to watch, it's a lot of diarrhea Christmas lights all over the screen.
Yeah, it truly is, and I I don't really enjoy it very much. So it's a bummer, but yeah, and there's other competent FPS games, you know, like COD Pro League, which is also owned by Activision Blizzard. So it's kind of like they're taking share from themselves in a way.
Yeah.
Obviously, CS:GO still a huge esport.
Oh, yeah, CS:GO just had a huge major,
so
$1 million prize pool tournament.
That's what I mean. Like, there's still vibrant FPS games out there. Hell, even Quake Pro League exists. There's that. But yeah, you're right, Denny. You're right, Denny. There's competition not just for FPS games, but for FPS esports like viewership. That every weekend there's something else to watch other than Overwatch League, and I think the meta of this game is kind of stagnant this many years in at this point. I think
they've changed it up by switching it to a 5v5 now. It's no longer 6v6.
This is still 5. This is 5v5?
Yes, they are doing 5v5 now in Pro League play.
That's drastically different. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that changes team composition and everything.
Yeah,
it used to be 2-2-2. Okay. Well, that's different enough, I guess. But like that's them taking something that made them different and becoming more like their
pretty much. Yeah, because everything else was a 5v5 game.
Yeah.
And 6v6 was what set them apart. But yes, it was for viewership. It's really busy. It's insanely busy. 6v6, even 5v5 Overwatch is still very busy to watch. My point though being, I still want to talk about this viewership. The one number that strikes me as the average viewers overall for this weekend of Overwatch play, and it was really just hovered around 50,000 average viewers.
Oh wow.
Which like we were saying before, when Overwatch League had a weekend on Twitch when it first started, it seems like their concurrence was always above 100,000, if not like 200,000, and then the finals would really rack up, the viewers breaking 300,000 or so.
I mean, people aren't using YouTube for live content in that way.
Yeah, my question to the rest of you then is, do you think they'll be able to hold on to these viewers for the remainder of the season, or is it just going to drop precipitously like it did last year?
It's going to depend on the game itself. I mean, when people are actually playing the game, it's out there for, you get more of the casual players who will watch esports, being played once they got the game on their hands. I know people that used to watch Overwatch League while they would play, and they have it on in the background, the entire time. So I feel like the actual success of the game is going to be part of whether that actually ends up being a consistent scene or not for some of this stuff. Plus, it's YouTube in general is, in comparison to Twitch and the interactive stuff that Twitch does with Overwatch League, YouTube doesn't have the same elements built into their overlay in the system that you used to see on Twitch's end with drops and stuff like that.
Terrible job of recommending this. Like I get recommended some of the most nonsensical videos on YouTube. Not once have I been recommended an Overwatch League stream while it was happening. Like, ever. I've never seen it. The algorithm should know that, hey, this guy follows all these video game channels, all this stuff. We should try to maybe serve this to him. They don't do that, like, ever. No. Whereas, like, I would happen upon Overwatch League just browsing Twitch when they were
be on the front page.
It would show you your friends watching it too. Other people, watching it. It would show up.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's just YouTube. It's just such a big play. Like, YouTube is not the right platform because it's just such a large platform. It's just Overwatch League just gets drowned with everything else on YouTube. There's just so much that you're right. Unless you're watching Overwatch League videos all the time, the algorithm's not going to recommend these live events to you because that algorithm is just trying to keep you watching what you watch. So it's only going to recommend stuff like you watch. So
even in the app, like, there is no live stream button.
No.
Like, I can't just go to a place and look at all the live streams.
You can go to the gaming tab and it'll give you like a mix of live streams and pre-recorded videos.
But that doesn't even exist on YouTube, like the mobile app. The mobile app has 5 buttons.
Which is where most of this stuff is getting watched. Yeah.
Upload, subscriptions, and library.
So you have to be on desktop or like a TV app to even get that gaming
That's
tab.
my point. Like, it's not even like the place where most people view YouTube is on iPad and iPhone, or tablet or mobile phone. So for there not to even be a freaking button for live streams, like, how am I supposed to find this ever? The discoverability of Overwatch League has fallen so far that it's kind of a miracle they're even doing these numbers.
The Seats got greedy behind the scenes, and they signed that exclusive deal, and they did not think about how it would affect the actual watching ability.
They got the bag, the initial bag, but they just did not think about it.
We talked about the economics of buying an Overwatch League team. I cannot think of a bigger waste of money than spending $50 million! $50 million just to buy a team! That's just for the right to have the team. That's not paying for your players. Yeah. That's not paying for travel. That's not paying for anything. Yeah. That's just to have the right
overvalued.
In what universe are they ever going to make that $50 million? Like, ever?
Never. All right, we got to move on because there's still a lot more to get through, and we are getting lower on the time as it ticks by. So let's cover this next story real quick because it's a piece of shit story. So, former LJL player, that is the League of Legends Japan League, their professional subset over there. Former League of Legends professional player in Japan, Aisen, has been arrested for indecent contact towards a 15-year-old high school girl. Took place at a hotel in Tokyo of October of last year. He used to play League for a few teams, Rascal Jester, Hokuto Esports, and Axes, but never reached playoffs, didn't really have a lot of success. Retired from pro play in May of 2019. Went on to then lecture about esports in various high schools in Japan, and then used that to get a high school girl into a hotel, and then
You know what? What throws me off the most about this is that he used to be a. Did I read this correctly? That he has some sort of history with being law enforcement too. So I'm just.
I think that's like a mistranslation. I don't think he was a police officer in Japan. I think he was just like part of the enforcement team for league for the LJL.
Gotcha. Okay, so but regardless, this is absolutely stupid, and yeah, we don't have to cover it for very long. But I thought that this was absolutely something that just couldn't, be just looked over really quick. Absolute stupidity. The fact that he even existed as long as he did, after this incident is completely just mind-boggling to me in any sort of facet. Absolutely terrible. I hope that whatever he gets, he gets it and he deserves it and he gets it, times 12. Because what the fuck? Like, I don't know why these professional players just can't get their life together, man. Like, what is this? Why? I don't even want to know why. Just go get help and just stay the fuck away from people. I hate that these types of stories keep popping up in our gaming space of all places. Now, obviously, he had been far removed for quite some time. But I just hate that this keeps popping up in our environment, because even though stuff like this happens other places, it just further, rewrites that narrative that gamers are gross, smelly, disgusting people, which all of us are not. We're just human beings that play the game, but these creeps slip through the cracks and mess up stuff like this happens. So please go to prison for life, man. Like, I don't want to see you anymore.
In Japan, he might. Like, there are very strict sentences for crimes in Japan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I will say that I have a friend who works he works at a high school in Japan, and high schools are trying to get esports into their extracurricular activities.
Yeah. Yes.
They're making an effort to do that. So there's like after school programs for esports and stuff. So that's probably how he got into this situation. But it is an effort that a lot of schools are making over in Japan, because it's illegal to have pot bonuses and stuff in Japan, so it kind of leads to amateurism. So why not start with high school players and see where they can go from there?
Yeah, and I'm sure situations like this do not help, people who might not know what esports is, but they see it as a good thing that could help the kids, and then they see scenarios like this. I'm sure it doesn't help at all, but hopefully they just look at this case as a one-off case, and they may use this as an incentive to, up the security and, protect these children, because what the entire fuck? Disgusting. But sorry.
Yeah, and there's, League is a free game. Rocket League's a free game. So, you're seeing games that are free showing up in these high school events, too. So, I understand why he was put in that position. How he handled it is despicable.
Yes.
But I understand how he could have been put in this position. Because usually with people like this, you have no idea that they are capable of this until they do something disgusting.
100%.
Absolutely. So, that is our story. Quick little story about League over in Japan. LJL, we don't get a lot of, we don't touch on that a lot, just because it's not really the premier League of Legends, area. Like, it's just, they don't really do a lot of pro play. So, it's just, I was shocked to hear that there is even League of Legends pro players in Japan.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I had no idea either. Well, let's move on, though, to a little bit better story of Golden Guardians. Great esports organization. In fact, they have a lot of Smash Brothers Melee talent on their roster. They are opening a new esports complex in LA. That's going to be a content creation studio and training grounds venue for their organization and players. It's going to house the Golden State Warriors esports offices, because the Golden Guardians are the official esports org of the Golden State Warriors. Also, practice space for the Golden Guardians League teams, Smash Brothers Melee teams, and World of Warcraft teams. A kitchen, film room, lounge, and more. Space is set to open in the fall of 2022. Go ahead, Asif.
This is the Golden State Warriors esports team.
Yes.
That's a NorCal team. What are they doing in LA?
I don't know. This studio's in LA. Maybe this is where they can find the space.
And also, you could argue that they're trying to steal players away from FaZe and, I don't know, maybe that other, what the hell is that other one
100
called?
Thieves.
100 Thieves. It's like, they're all based in LA, so maybe this is why. But that just seems weird to me. Like, It's like, this is gonna be the Golden State Warriors esports office, and it's 600 miles away from where they play basketball. Like, what? Sorry, that was my only question. Continue on.
Oh no, I think it's pretty cool. I would love to check it out and see what kind of practice space they have for their Smash Brothers Melee talent. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but like, isn't Zane on GG? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
yeah, arguably the best player in the world right now.
Yeah. So
depending on what week it is.
I'm definitely here for it. I mean, I mean, we talk about so many stories like this where they, there's some sort of facility set in place to help people get better, be better, to train, to practice. Even for somebody like myself, I used to work at the Boys and Girls Club, and we tried esports stuff, and we tried, traditional sports that was outside of their school's curriculum just to, get things set in place for people to train and practice. But it's nice to see it done at this level with real financial backing. But I'm actually with Asif too. I guess I didn't really pick up on that. Like, one is NorCal and one is SoCal. Yeah, very, very interesting. I would imagine, hell, in NorCal, like, everything is just fucking goddamn expensive to do anything at. But then the same could be said for Southern California as well. Either way, I think this is a really good thing too. Like, I'm happy you brought this story, Brian, because I sometimes forget that the Golden Guardians are a part of the Golden State Warriors. But that's just like my little Peabody, smash brain sometimes. Like, oh yeah, we got the top players sponsored on this team. These are the Golden State Warriors team. But when I used to watch 2K League, and then I would see all their, I don't even want to say sister teams, like just, their esport official leagues attached to their actual leagues, I'm given a reminder like, oh, it's all connected. So this is cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Where is Zane based out of? Do you know?
Definitely good for them.
I think Zane is in Southern California, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so that would explain why this office is there.
Zane lives in Virginia, I believe.
Yeah, I thought he was an East Coaster.
I thought, or maybe he was just spending some time in Southern California when I read last. But you know what? Actually, let's look this up. Because I know he's back and forth frequently.
Zane is Virginia.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
So he's definitely the number one player in Virginia, but he might be the number one player in the world. But yeah, that's definitely a long visit. That's quite a trip to go from Virginia all the way over to LA just to practice in their new space. But of course, he's got to check it out. But yeah, they not only have Zane, they also have PPMD and Nunn. Mm-hmm. And Toph is also signed to Golden Guardians. So they got some commentary talent as well. So,
does Dr. PP even play anymore?
PPMD?
Yeah.
He kind of does. So he's active like in the background, and he does still play friendlies or casuals, whatever he calls them. But I would love, I'm sure you share the same sentiment too, I would love for him to come back and play. Like, holy shit.
No, I was just curious. Like, I thought maybe he was there on like a coaching kind of standpoint. Yeah, interesting either way. But yeah, they have a league team, they have WoW, and they have Melee according to their bio.
Yeah, so this will be practice space for all of their teams. A film room to go over tournaments, and I'm sure they'll be watching more than tournaments in the film room. Like those, I would just be watching movies, obviously. Or you could set up some Smash over in the film room and get it on.
You got to watch your tape, man. You got to go back and.
I know you have to watch tape.
Yeah, I got breakdown frame data, all that good stuff.
No, but this is really cool, and yeah, I honestly didn't even know that the Golden State Warriors owned the Golden Guardians until this story broke, because just kind of ties it all together.
I did, and I'm a Cavs fan, so I hate the Warriors. So by extension, I kind of hate the Golden Guardians.
Damn.
Well, congratulations to the Golden Guardians on your new esports venue
for the new office.
Yeah. And we'll see how it turns out in the fall 2022. But I think that's going to end our esports news of the day, because we got to get into Sauce Talk. There's huge Sauce Talk news to get into for today. I think actually just one big news story for Sauce Talk. The rest is
the breaking news that I busted
kind of interesting. Yes. About. Let's cover the other stuff first, though. We'll cover the breaking news last. We'll save the best for last First up, though, in Sauce Talk, we got to talk about Mountain Dew testing 6 new flavors that are never going to be real flavors of Mountain Dew.
You sound disgusting.
Yeah, they sound so gross. So at the Mountain Dew Outpost, which is a thing, which is an actual physical location that you can visit, the Mountain Dew Outpost. There's a Mountain Dew Outpost flavor adventure with 6 new flavors available as part to test, each one with a connection to the great outdoors, including pickle,
what?
apple cinnamon,
Cinnamon doesn't sound bad.
Elderberry.
Okay.
Your mother smells of elderberry, huckleberry,
okay,
and summer popsicle.
What the hell is that even supposed to taste
like?
That is so ambiguous. Summer popsicle could be anything. Is it?
It's any flavor. There's so many different popsicle flavors. There's no such thing as popsicle flavor.
Yeah, these are like made up like candle flavors. Like,
so what does summer taste like?
I don't even want to know. I'm afraid.
By far, the worst throw them on their ass idea is pickle. Who the hell wants pickle Mountain Dew?
There's got to be somebody out there.
No. I don't even know. I'm not a pickle anything, but there's people in America who are just like super fixated on pickles for some damn reason.
Jones Soda has success with their Thanksgiving sodas every year, where they sell like a mashed potatoes and gravy soda and like a turkey dinner one, and then there'll be like a cranberry dressing, soda and whatever.
I'm picturing like pickle juice and carbonation together. Just is not making any sense to me. That sounds awful.
It sounds like offensively bad.
Yeah, because I think the reason why. I think the reason why people like pickles, and maybe it's the taste, but I've always heard that it's like a texture thing, like it's the crunch. So to see them do like a pickled flavored drink, I mean, I guess people already drink the juice, but then to add carbonation with it definitely gives me a head scratch, because like, is it now going to be kind of sweet? Like, is it just carbonation and pickle juice? Like, how does this thing work?
It's still got to be Mountain Dew at its core. So it's going to have high fructose corn syrup. It's going to be carbonated. It's going to have some weird food coloring in it. And then they're going to squirt pickle juice in it. It sounds horrible. And that sounds like, out of all of them, that's the one where I'm like offended by how bad of an idea it is. Like, we've tried to make s'mores flavored other stuff before. We always fail, but we try. Because s'mores, the magic of s'mores is making them around a fire. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not doing that, forget it. But like, I've seen them try to do that. They did that with Pop-Tarts, right? S'mores Pop-Tarts. Those are actually kind of decent.
They're not bad.
The s'mores Snickers wasn't bad either. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was really
because
good.
At the end of the day, s'mores are kind of great. So, but in a beverage, like, what part of this is going to make any sense?
Yeah, I don't want the s'mores one. I don't want the apple cinnamon one either.
I kind of want that one. I kind of want the apple cinnamon one. I'm the weird guy. I kind of want to give that a try with my mac and cheeseburger. I kind of want to give it to try together.
2 berries though, those 2 berries, they're possible. Like, I can see them work.
I'm sure they'll be fine.
Like those you could get away with doing elderberry and huckleberry. But what the fuck is a summer popsicle flavor?
Yeah, I need to know what the summer popsicle
that one,
is.
Rod,
does it taste
science,
like the popsicle
we should send you to the outpost to find out.
Because really, the only common denominator between all summer popsicles is the stick. So maybe it just tastes like the stick.
It's just Mountain Dew on a stick.
I mean, knowing Mountain Dew, I would not be surprised. I'll definitely get in there and do some research for the team. What exactly is summer popsicle flavor?
So this is only at the outpost.
Yeah, I don't even know where this is.
Where is this place?
It's the flavor adventure. You have to take place and take part in the flavor adventure. It says here.
It's in Mountain City.
12th.
Yeah.
Mountain City, Tennessee.
Well, I was going to say, where the hell is Mountain City? That sounds made up too.
I have the address: 1203 Harbin Hill Road, Mountain City, Tennessee.
There you go. Head over to Mountain Hill, Tennessee.
It's open daily until June 12th. So they're only doing this for like 8 days.
Yeah, this is a week. So basically, they popped up a stand for a week so they could give people the worst Mountain Dew they've ever had.
I will go out there on behalf of Shacknews and be the judge of that.
I mean, I don't think Tennessee's really... Tennessee, I think Asif is the closest to Tennessee geographically.
You want me to drive through Southern Ohio and Kentucky
No, I don't.
Like, you really want me to go through Kentucky for this?
I really don't.
No. Maybe if they had, like, I don't know, a good flavor among all of this nonsense.
Nobody should go through any part of the country to taste these sodas. All right, let's move on. We got to get to the good news. So first, we're going to get to a top 5 fast food restaurant list because we like doing these lists real quick. So KTLA has put out the most popular fast food chains in LA, and it's not In-N-Out, as you might expect.
Looks like I see this list you have here. Is it top to bottom or bottom to top?
I believe that's... Oh, yeah, Rod, is this top to bottom or bottom to top?
I think it's top to bottom. And 5 Guys being one on that list, I could kind of see that. 5 Guys is really good. Five Guys.
Spoiler alert: 5 Guys is number 1 in LA.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, well, 5 Guys, in my opinion, is kind of number 1 in a lot of areas. It's really good franchise. Great
this is LA. I
gotta call this out.
I mean, Chipotle is high on this list right now.
Yeah, how the hell is Chipotle on this list?
Well, not only on the list, but number 2.
How the hell is Chipotle above In-N-Out? Like,
with the abundance of little Mexican restaurants that you could go to.
Good mom and pops. Like, I think trip over a good Mexican stand, like anywhere in LA.
I think it's just
downtown. There's like El Burrito Jr. in Redondo Beach. There's so many good places you can get Mexican food. Why on earth are you in LA eating Chipotle? Like, no.
I think it's
certain
limited
type of person that's eating Chipotle.
This list is very sus. It is sus.
All of these lists are.
They all are for the most part. But I thought that this was interesting because I was like, well, In-N-Out is looked so highly upon. Like, just culturally, if you ask me what I thought a person's favorite anything was.
In-N-Out.
Chipotle, and I don't even like In-N-Out like that, but In-N-Out is better than Chipotle. Like Chipotle,
is definitely better than Chipotle.
Chipotle is
people
just
hyped
so
up In-N-Out to me, and then I went out there and had In-N-Out, and I'm like, what is this? Okay, these fries.
In-N-Out is only one spot above McDonald's.
I mean, I've had some solid McDonald's too. You know, a lot
of people like McDonald's.
I feel like
Taco Bell and McDonald's not being
also like LA being a very liberal city. How the hell does Chick-fil-A make this list?
Yeah, I don't know.
How the hell did Chick-fil-A make this list? If you're in Los Angeles, and I'm guessing some of the sample size maybe was in West Hollywood, how the hell did Chick-fil-A make this list?
I think there's probably a lot of people that don't follow the background of Chick-fil-A enough to know.
Yeah,
I would have to assume, because a lot of people that I've seen who've gone to Chick-fil-A weren't aware of their stances on things necessarily.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
There's a lot of skeletons in the closet at Chick-fil-A management.
Yeah.
This is weird. This is a weird list.
So this is
5 Guys. I'm okay with 5 Guys taking the top spot. 5 Guys is decent.
It is.
So there's also the top 5 in San Diego, and that list is quite different.
What is it? With
In-N-Out number 1, Chipotle at number 2. So Chipotle still at number 2. And then McDonald's, Carl's Jr., and Jersey Mike's. So, yes, how is Chipotle number 2 in San Diego when, again, there are a trillion different, Mexican stands?
You can literally walk 10 feet and you're in Mexico.
Trucks. Yes, you could just walk 10 feet and you are now in Tijuana.
They even have, like, poke restaurants, like, chains in L.A. that are better than Chipotle. And I don't understand the Chipotle hype. When I seen this list, I was like, I'm gonna bring it to the fellas because I know that they're gonna have to agree with me.
This list is just it's bunk.
I've been to LA multiple times. I've never seen anybody eat Chipotle. Like I've never heard once like, yo, Austin, we gotta hit Chipotle. We're in LA. Bro.
I'll throw you in the ocean if you suggest that we go to Chipotle. If I'm in LA or Orange County or in San Diego County and you're like, hey, I'm hungry, let's get Chipotle, I'm like, okay. I'm going to drop you off and go to somewhere good. Like, you could literally just Google Mexican food and have a better experience than that. But I like seeing Carl's Jr. on here, because Carl's Jr. is California as all hell. Like, that is a California fast food chain.
Is Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, like, they're together, right? Okay. So we have Hardee's here I say here, I'm not in Nebraska, but we have a couple Hardee's that are still, I think, around. And I used to eat there a lot as a kid. Can't confirm. Very, very good. Love Hardee's and I love Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A is the most popular in San Francisco?
Yeah, that
This
doesn't
list is
make
not
any
correct.
sense. It's
This
not.
list is not
There's no way.
correct.
There's no way that's true. I could definitely see it. I could definitely see it being most popular in Boston.
Oh, sure.
Not a very tolerant area.
Yeah.
And Detroit, it's just like, oh my god, it's food. We'll eat it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Detroit, like, man, there's not a whole lot of options.
All right,
proper.
We got to move on because this list, like I said, these lists, I don't buy them. ATLA is fishing for hate clicks, apparently.
I just question the sample size of this poll.
Well, they say it came from some place called Top Agency, so I don't know. It's not. They're not on top of anything, apparently. Let's get to the good Sauce Talk news, the big Sauce Talk news, the breaking Sauce Talk news. And
yes, sir.
Is a tweet from Wendy's. We all know Wendy's Twitter is always on fire, right? Wendy's Twitter is just one of the best of all the fast food Twitter accounts. But today, they teased us with a picture of a Frosty. And that Frosty is colored pink, my friends. There's a brand new pink Frosty, and they say it starts with strawberry and ends with Frosty. So we know the flavor. What do you guys think? You excited?
Very. And look, I'm always like a little back and forth when it comes to anything like dairy related, anything in that sort of hemisphere and sweets. But I have completely turned a new leaf these last so many months. I think that this is awesome to see. I'm already in there all the damn time, for my fast food cravings. But this is just another thing that's going to keep me in the door spending money. They know how to take money, and I know how to spend it. So this is where we're at in the middle.
Yeah, I have consistently enjoyed a nice Frosty with some French fries to dip in the Frosty. I usually go with chocolate, but I'll try strawberry. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all.
Yeah. 100%.
Looks gorgeous. Looks so
beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful. Now, I don't know what they had to do.
I can't eat it, but yeah, it looks great.
Wait, you can't eat it?
I don't eat dairy.
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, this looks. I drew attention to it because Frosty is iconic as all hell and delicious, and goes very well with fries. So yeah, I'm interested. I follow Wendy's. I also follow Chef Mike, who you may see at E6 next week. And he had tweeted about it, so I was like, oh. We were just kind of talking about that last week. How certain companies take risks with their menu. This seems like a very calculated risk on the part of Wendy's.
Oh yeah.
Strawberry is a great ice cream flavor, and I like the texture of Frosties. I don't eat dairy now, but I have in the past. I like the texture of a Frosty more than most ice cream. So I'm curious how this tastes.
I'm surprised it took them this long. I'm surprised it took them this long to come out with a strawberry Frosty, just because,
or a different flavor Frosty at all.
Yeah, because it's been chocolate vanilla only for a long time now, for many years, maybe even 30 years, maybe 40. I don't know, but it's been a damn long time.
Yeah, I would like to see other flavors, spawn off of this. I would imagine strawberry is going to definitely get the people back not back in the door, but in the door even more. But I would love to see like a creamsicle. I'd like to see them get kind of experimental, like something we'd see at I don't know if you guys have Sonics, wherever you guys are at, but Sonic as well. Like they get very, very, experimental with some of their basic ice cream standard shapes and stuff. So this is cool. And I'm very, very curious to see what my fries are going to taste like when I dip them in this one. So I'm with you on that, Brian.
Oh yeah, that's the only way to eat them. You got to do it. It's a perfect vehicle for a Frosty is a French fry.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move on. I think that's going to cover our sauce talk. We got about 10 minutes left, and we're going to take those 10 minutes to talk about our Cortex winner of the week, the Shack Pets Showdown. And it just so happens the winner is here with us today. That's right. 8 Mikey is not the winner. No, the man with the briefcase takes the win. Congratulations, Asif.
I don't know how this happened.
Shacknews.
Okay, so I won on the 30th. I put up like 25,000 points that day. So I'm testing a new build of Shack Pets.
Okay.
So there are some features that I had to test. I also won on the 31st with 51,000 points. So I kind of front loaded the week, which is weird because we've talked about how 8 Mikey tends to do his weekend Zerg rush.
Yeah.
8 Mikey, what he must not have been paying attention on the days I won, because I just told you about the 75,000 points I got there. I passively got like another 60,000 points throughout the week because Lola's very cute. Mm-hmm. She gets challenged a lot. She wins, right? So there was one day where I got a notification. I don't know if you get them at 9 p.m. now Eastern, or I think local time. You get a notification that tells you how many matches you won. Yeah. I was looking at my phone one day. It said I won like 140 in a day, and that's like 42,000 points or something crazy. So like people should not challenge me. You shouldn't challenge Lola. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, you don't want me to win? Don't challenge Lola, because she is adorable, and she's going to mop the floor with whatever pet you're bringing at her. So, I wasn't trying for most of this week, is my point. I wasn't even trying the days where I was like, I won. I'm just testing things. And so I was using the vote screen. I did all the votes, right? You get 5,000 points for doing all the votes. And then I did the challenge screen. I was doing it there. Just a little heads up to people who are going to be using the new version. We're adding filters to all the screens. So there's going to be a filter on the vote screen. There's going to be a filter on the challenge screen. There's going to be a filter on the latest pet screen. There's already a filter on the results screen. What this means is I could be like, I only want to challenge dogs. I only want to challenge cats. I only want to do this. So I was testing that out this week. And it showed up in the analytics, right? The problem with the app right now is that I'm able to test things on our working server, like our live server. I can also test things on our dev server, but there's literally no one on the dev server.
Yeah, so there's no one.
There's no one to challenge. There's no one to vote for. It's very much an empty sort of place, to the point where our dev Minho has won the Carnage report on the dev environment like 80 straight days in a row. Because it's one of these self-fulfilling prophecies. If no one plays Shack Pets, the person who won it the day before has that 500 points, right? Yeah. So they win the next day. It's just this constant thing. But yeah, I beat 8 Mikey. I said it was possible last week. Like, it's not hard to do it. And I actually jumped into a different show last week because Greg was talking about how, he didn't upload like a kitty versions of his pets or whatever. And I was like, it doesn't matter how many pets you have on Shack Pets. It's about pictures. That's it. It's about how many pictures you have, and then you get 10 challenges per picture per day. So it's not like you can have 15 pets and 10 pictures of each of them, or one pet and 150 pictures of that one pet. It doesn't matter. The way the app is built, a person with one pet can win this, and I just proved it this week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But now 8 Mikey's coming back with a vengeance. He's going to just be super pissed off.
He put up a quick 100,000, and I'm sure he thought that was enough to, be on, because that put him comfortably in second place. I wouldn't say comfortably. I mean, that's only 3,500 points above Burklety Burke there. So yeah, the Ragdoll Cats almost took second place. But yeah, once 8 Mikey gets on there with his squad of photos, it's just going to be hard to not break 100,000 points for him. But yeah, like you just showed, 100,000 points is really nothing when you can easily achieve that in your spare time.
It's not hard. It's just the thing I wish more people would do is vote. A lot of people will challenge with their pets, and then they forget to vote for their pets, and then they lose. Because 8 Mikey doesn't forget. He votes for his pets every day. You know what I mean? So, like, we're working on things where it's going to be easier to vote for your pet. We're working on some other features that I think will be really cool for that. I can tell you, as someone who was using our new build, I really like the new build. It's really fun to use, and I think it's going to make it a more social experience where you're going to be able to interact with your friends and their pets more easily, which I think was one of the weak points, but it's being addressed. I did think it was funny that Greg was trying this week and I still beat him. And yeah, we had a decent showing though. A lot of good showings here.
I wanted to say real quick, welcome to Zuki Revlon, registered on the 3rd of June. So brand new user and already on the leaderboard.
Yep. And that was definitely someone who signed up and really liked what they saw. We had a couple of signups during Big Team Building this week. And
Nice.
I saw them because, I see the back end. I saw them sign up and upload photos as Big Team Building came to an end. So it's always exciting to see new
That's
users,
awesome.
new Shackers. The platform is about 60% old Shackers, 40% new Shackers. So it's definitely an interesting community when compared to the chatty or our Facebook comments.
Well, all right. Well, I think that's going to do it for the show. We got to wrap it up. We got Steve Tendo coming up shortly.
But yeah, I'm not going to try to win this week. I'm not trying to win.
So, Man with Briefcase is not trying to win. So that means you should get on there and you should try to win. It's absolutely free. Doesn't cost a dime. It's available on the iOS App Store or the Google Play Store. It's right there waiting for you. A great way to spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, however long you want to spend on voting for pet pictures, uploading pictures of your pets, challenging other people, or just looking at all the cute pet pictures on the feed. You don't really have to commit to anything. You can just scroll through and be delightfully entertained, I should say, by all of the cute pets on Shack Pets. What are you waiting for? Get to it. I think that's going to do it, though. I think that's everything. Make sure you follow it here on Shacknews Twitch. Make sure you hit that notification bell to make you to get notified every single time we go live. We have all kinds of different content going throughout the week. Lots of different shows including Wide World of Electronic Sports, Retail Therapy with Rodney and Blake, doing collection-based streaming. Really cool topics. They do some Pokemon card pack unboxings. They've done sneakers. Who knows what they're going to get into next, but if you can collect it, I'm sure they're going to be talking about it. We have Steve Tendo, of course, coming up next. We have Pop Goes the Culture. We have Shack Air with Jan. We have our Big Team Building Thursdays. We have the Dump on Fridays. We got movie nights. We got all kinds of great stuff. But if you don't get notified, you're sure to miss it. So make sure you do that. And if you really want to support the channel, kick a subscription our way. That will help us bring all of this content to you each week. You can also do it for free with an Amazon Prime gaming account. If you have Amazon Prime, you link that up to Twitch, you get Prime Gaming, you get a free sub every single month. You can kick that our way. We'll take those Bezos bucks. We'll put them to good use. If you do miss the stuff here, though, you can catch it over on YouTube, where we have 2 channels, Shacknews Games and Gamer Hub videos. You can catch all of our VODs that we export from Twitch over there. So if you miss Wide World of Esports or any of our shows, you can catch it over there. Plus, thousands of hours of pre-recorded content like developer interviews, reviews, previews, features from the website. And I mean, I'm talking exclusive stuff that you cannot see anywhere else. It's only available on our channels, Shacknews Games and Gamer Hub videos. Make sure you head to YouTube and subscribe to both of those. And then tell us how much you love all those videos over on social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're all over all of those at Shacknews on Twitter and Facebook, Shacknews Media on Instagram. Make sure you go tell Denny Von Doom, DVD. He's holding it down over there. He's our community manager. Make sure you go tell him how much you're loving everything over at Shacknews. Give him a quote, tweet, a retweet, a follow, all that good stuff. We would love to see you over there. But of course, check out our social media platform that's by us, for everybody. Shack Pets, of course. That's the one I'm talking about. Our social media platform, Shack Pets. It's free. It's out there. Make sure you use it. Have a lot of fun doing it. And you can win Shack News by doing so. Probably the best and easiest way to win Shack News. Make sure you go to shacknews.com. That's where you'll see all of our written content. That's where you'll see links to all of our video content. That's basically where you'll see links to everything important surrounding Shack News over there at shacknews.com. Plus tons of community features built just for you. Stuff you're not going to find on other gaming websites like Shack News Reader, Shack News Cortex, Shack News Chatty. All of that stuff you really can't find on other gaming websites anymore. We do it. We're doing it for you, doing it for Shack News. And make sure you check out Shack News Mercury while you're at it. That's our subscription service. It's $1 a month, or even less than $1 a month if you subscribe for the full year. I mean, I don't know how it could get any cheaper than that. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's way more than any ad revenue you would ever get from clicking on a banner or anything like that. So it really does help us a lot whenever you sign up for Shacknews Mercury. So make sure you go and do that. And you get some cool perks too. You get access to David Craddock's long reads in EPUB format. Writer, director David Craddock, yes, the director behind a new first-person shooter documentary coming out, FPS Doc. He is over on our website writing tons of excellent deep dives into the biggest stories in gaming, and you can find those right on our website at shacknews.com. With Shacknews Mercury, you can download them and read them at your own leisure on any compatible device, completely offline. You'll also get cool chatty emblems, lots of cool stuff, plus access to swag like t-shirts, hoodies, if you subscribe at the appropriate tier. I think that's going to do it, though, guys. I think that's everything for episode 135. I'm Brian Leffler, joined, as always, by Rodney Conyers Jr. and Denny Von Doom, and joined today by Asif Khan, our man with the briefcase. Thank you so much for joining us for another excellent episode of Esports News. I think that's going to do it, everybody. So until next time, until next week, we will see you, and bye-bye. All right. Yeah, we're out.
Cool.